Hello and welcome to Science, Sleep, and History. Take a moment to settle in. We hope you enjoy listening to this episode about the Greek creation myth. Chapter 1: Chaos and the First Quiet Beings. In the beginning there was chaos. It was not a storm. It was not a scream, not destruction or disorder as we might imagine today. Chaos was something far more ancient, something far more still. Chaos was the vast emptiness before existence itself, a yawning void stretching endlessly in all directions. There was no up or down, no light or shadow, no time moving forward or backward, only the infinite, silent presence of what was not yet. Hesiod, the ancient poet, tells us that chaos came first. Protesta, he wrote, first of all. Before the gods, before the earth, before even the concept of before, there was only this, the great abyss of possibility, the womb of everything, and in this endless emptiness, chaos was alone. Imagine it, if you will. Imagine existing with no companion, no mirror, no other. No voice has ever called your name because names do not yet exist. No hand has ever reached toward you because hands have not been dreamed. You are everything and nothing. You are presence without form, consciousness without thought, feeling without feeling. This was chaos. And within that infinite solitude, something extraordinary began to stir. The first beings emerged not with thunder or fanfare, but with the gentleness of breath. From chaos came Gaia, Earth herself, broad-bosomed Gaia, as the poets called her. She arose as the first solid thing, the first foundation, the first promise that existence could have shape and weight and presence. Where chaos was endless and untethered, Gaia was grounded, Gaia was centered, Gaia was real. And oh, how different it must have felt. For Gaia, awakening into being was like the first morning of the world. She became aware of herself, of boundaries, of form, of the quiet joy of simply being something rather than nothing. Where chaos had known only the ache of formless solitude, Gaia felt something new, purpose. A small, flickering spark deep within her essence, the knowledge that she was meant to be and perhaps to become. Yet even in that first moment of self-awareness, she felt it too, longing, a soft, unnamed yearning. She was here, yes, she truly existed now, but she was still alone in the vastness, still one small point of presence in an ocean of emptiness. But Gaia was not the only one emerging from the infinite. From chaos also came Tartarus, the deep. If Gaia was the promise of ground beneath one's feet, Tartarus was the opposite. He was the lowest depth, the furthest down, the place beneath all places. In later times, mortals would speak of Tartarus as the prison of the cosmos, the shadowed pit far below even the roots of the earth. But in this first age, Tartarus was simply depth itself. He was pure mystery, the unknown beneath everything. He existed in quiet separation, distant and removed, holding within himself the gravity of all things heavy, all things hidden, all things that sink rather than rise. And then came Erebus, darkness itself. Not the darkness of night under stars, but the primordial darkness that existed before light was ever imagined. Erebus was shadow without source, the deep black that wraps around all things when illumination is absent. He moved through the void like a quiet presence, neither malevolent nor kind, simply existing there always. The first shadow, the first obscurity. And with Erebus came Nyx, the night. Nyx emerged as Erebus's companion, his other half. Where Erebus was the quality of darkness, Nyx was its living embodiment. She was night personified, ancient, powerful, serene. The poets tell us that even Zeus himself, king of all gods, would later respect and fear Nyx, for she was older than the Olympians, older than the Titans, older than almost everything. But here, in this first age, Nyx was simply present in her being. She moved with calm solitude through the early cosmos, wrapped in her own quiet independence. Unlike Gaia with her flickering longing or chaos with its vast loneliness, Nyx seemed content in her own being. She was deeply peaceful. She was self-contained entirely. A presence that needed no other to feel complete. In Nyx, there was no yearning. only the steady, eternal rhythm of her own existence, patient, timeless, serene. And then Eros appeared, beautiful Eros arrived now. Eros the primordial, not the playful child of later myths, but the ancient cosmic force that the earliest poets described. Eros the protogen, one of the firstborn powers of the universe. Hesiod tells us that Eros came forth as the fairest of the deathless gods, but Eros was not merely beautiful in form, Eros was beautiful in function. For Eros was the force of attraction itself, the cosmic principle that draws things together, the soft pull that says, you are not meant to be alone. Where the others existed in separation, each in their own domain, their own nature, Eros moved between them like a gentle current, not commanding them forward, not forcing any connection. Simply encouraging the possibility, radiating hope and potential. Eros was the whisper that connection was possible, that isolation, though vast and ancient, need not be eternal. That even in the endless void, beings could move toward one another, could recognize one another, could form something new together. Eros did not create love as we know it, not yet, but Eros created the possibility of unity. The cosmic glue binding all, the sacred yes to togetherness. And oh, how revolutionary this was. Picture them there, these first quiet beings, suspended in the formless dark. Gaia, solid and still, feeling within herself that strange new spark of purpose, that gentle ache for something more, wondering perhaps what she is for, what she might become. Tartarus, deep and separate, holding the mystery of the below, content in his removed vastness. Erebus and Nyx, shadow and night, moving together in their own dark harmony, peaceful and self-contained. And Eros, soft and radiant, drifting between them all like starlight through water, carrying within his presence the promise that none of them must remain forever alone. Chaos watches, if watching is even the right word for something so vast and formless. Chaos, who was loneliness itself, who knew only emptiness, now surrounded by these emanations of its own being. These children born from the void. Does chaos feel relief? Does chaos feel curiosity? Or does chaos simply continue to be, unchanging, the eternal backdrop against which all else unfolds? The ancient poets don't tell us what chaos felt. Perhaps there are no words for such primordial experience. Perhaps some loneliness is so vast that even the birth of others cannot quite touch it. But the others, these first beings, they are beginning to sense one another now. Gaia feels Eros's gentle presence, and the longing within her grows a little warmer, a little more hopeful, not urgent at all, not demanding anything yet. Just quietly present there. A quiet knowledge that something more is coming, that her purpose has not yet fully revealed itself. Nyx continues her serene movement, unchanged, unhurried. She has always been, it seems, and she will always be. Time, that concept not yet fully born, means little to her. She is patient beyond patience, calm beyond calm. And Eros simply radiates outward, drawing no attention to himself, making no proclamations. Just existing as the soft possibility of togetherness, the cosmic invitation to unity. This is how the world began, not with violence or chaos in the modern sense, but with quiet emergence, with gentle first birth, with the first beings becoming aware of themselves and each other in the vast darkness of precreation. The poets tell us these things not as abstract philosophy, but as living truth. Hesiod recorded it in his Theogony, the genealogy of the gods, so that humans would understand. The universe was born from loneliness and transformed by connection. Everything that would come after, all the mountains and rivers, all the gods and mortals, all the love and strife and story, everything began here, in this quiet moment of first being. Chaos, vast and eternal, Gaia, grounded and purposeful, Tartarus, deep and mysterious, Erebus and Nyx, shadow and night in harmony, and Eros, the gentle force of attraction, the cosmic promise that connection is possible. And so the stage was set. In that timeless space before time, in that formless void before form, in that silent cosmos before sound, Chaos remained vast and infinite, not frightening but endless. The space where anything might emerge. Gaia stood as the first solid presence, not yet mountains or soil, but simply groundedness itself, the first assurance that something real exists. Nyx moved through the darkness, ancient and serene, peaceful in her independence. And Eros drifted among them all, the gentle force of connection, the promise woven into the fabric of existence itself. From this quiet beginning, from these first immortal beings, everything else would follow. The universe, from its very first moment, had begun its journey toward complexity, toward relationship, toward story. For this is how it all began. In complete stillness, in gentle emergence, in the soft, eternal promise of becoming. Chapter 2: Gaia's Awakening and the Birth of the World. Gaia has been still for a long time. How long exactly is impossible to say. Time does not yet move the way it will when mortals walk the earth. There are no days turning to nights and back to days again, no seasons cycling through their ancient dance. Just pure duration itself, existence stretching forward, slow and dreamlike. And in this timeless space, Gaia begins to feel something stirring within her. That spark of purpose she felt when she first emerged from chaos, that small, flickering awareness that she was meant for something, is growing warmer now, growing stronger now, becoming less like a question and more like an answer revealing itself slowly, gently, in its own time. Gaia is the earth, but what does that mean? What is earth if not yet shaped? What is ground if not yet textured and formed? She is about to discover. The ancient poets tell us that Gaia began to create, not from outside herself, but from within. She was creation itself, she was the earth, and so, as naturally as breathing, though breath itself was not yet invented, she began to express her nature. First came the mountains. Slowly, so slowly, they rose from her being, not with violence or upheaval, but with the patience of geological dreaming. The high peaks, the sacred summits where later gods would make their homes. Mountains that touched the void above, reaching upward, creating the first vertical dimension in a cosmos that had been mostly formless. Hesiod names them simply Rhea, the mountains, ancient beings in their own right, born directly from Gaia's essence. Each peak a child, each summit a presence, and as they rose, Gaia felt something extraordinary, joy. The joy of creation is unlike any other feeling. It is the warm satisfaction of bringing forth something from within yourself, of watching potential become actual, of seeing what was only imagined now standing real and solid before you. Gaia felt this as the mountains emerged, a maternal warmth spreading through her being. She was making, she was shaping, she was becoming not just Earth, but Earth as mother, the first mother, the original source of all living things. But the mountains were only the beginning. From her depths, Gaia brought forth the hills, gentler than mountains, softer, rolling and green in her imagination. Places that would one day welcome shepherds and their flocks, lovers meeting in secret, children playing in summer grass. She shaped valleys between the peaks, creating the low places that would cradle rivers and shelter life. The contours of her body became the contours of the world itself, every curve and hollow, every rise and depression serving a purpose in the great design. And then came the seas. From Gaia came Pontus, the ancient sea, born without need of father or union, just Gaia expressing another aspect of her infinite nature. Where the mountains were solid and reaching, Pontus was fluid and vast, the primordial waters, deep and mysterious, holding within themselves the promise of life yet to come. The poets tell us that Gaia brought forth Pontus without sweet love, meaning without the union of two beings, without coupling or intimacy. This was creation through pure will, pure essence. Gaia alone becoming more fully herself with each emergence, and oh, how beautiful it must have been. Picture the world in this early stage, mountains rising like the bones of the earth, valleys nestled between them like soft breathing spaces, and the vast waters of Pontus spreading across Gaia's surface, reflecting the formless void above like an enormous mirror. Gaia was no longer just a presence in the darkness. She was becoming a place, she was becoming a realm. A home for all things that would eventually come to be. As Gaia shaped and created, that warm maternal satisfaction continued to flow through her. Every mountain peak brought her pleasure. Every valley filled her with gentle pride. Every wave of Pontus felt like a lullaby she was singing to herself. She was the grounding presence of all that existed. She was the foundation. The great mother upon whom everything else would rest. Where chaos had been formless and Erebus had been shadow and Nyx had been night, Gaia was pure substance. She was reality itself, the first true answer to the question, what is there? And yet something else emerged. And yet, as she created, as she shaped mountains and seas and valleys, as she felt that warm maternal joy spreading through her being, Gaia began to notice something else. Another failing, quieter than the joy but no less present. It was emptiness returning, not the vast emptiness of chaos, that primordial absence of all things. This was different. This was the emptiness of incompleteness, the sense that something was missing. That her creation, beautiful as it was somehow unfinished still. Gaia looked upon her works and felt the paradox of creation. She had brought forth so much. The world was taking shape beneath her, around her, as her. Mountains stood tall and proud, seas moved with their own mysterious rhythms. The landscape was rich and varied and full of potential, and yet the sky above remained empty. There was no dome overhead, there was no ceiling, no boundary between the earth and the infinite void of chaos that still surrounded everything. Gaia looked up, if looking up means anything in that early cosmos, and saw only formless darkness, the same vast nothing that had existed before she emerged. Her mountains reached upward but found nothing to reach toward. Pontus's waters reflected only emptiness. The world she had created felt exposed, unprotected, incomplete. A longing began to grow in Gaia's heart, not the vague, unnamed yearning she had felt when she first emerged. This was more specific, this was more defined, a desire that was taking shape just as surely as the mountains had taken shape. She wanted a counterpart, someone or something, to complete what she had begun. To cover where she was open, to embrace where she was exposed, to be the sky to her earth, the above to her below, the complement to her foundation. The poets later called this desire Hymros, longing, yearning, the ache for what is not yet present. Eros had planted this possibility in the cosmos from the beginning, but now Gaia was feeling it truly, deeply, in the very center of her being. She wanted to be witnessed, to be held completely, to be met by an equal presence. She wanted something more, she wanted it deeply. But Gaia did not rush. In this she showed the wisdom that would define her through all the ages to come. That patient, maternal understanding that some things cannot be forced, that longing itself has a purpose, that the space between desire and fulfillment is sacred in its own way. So Gaia continued her work. She refined the mountains, making some taller, some more gentle. She carved deeper valleys, creating spaces that would one day hold forests and meadows. She allowed Pontus to find his own rhythms, the ancient pulse of tides that would continue for all eternity. And as she worked, she held the longing in her heart like a secret, not painful exactly, not desperate at all. Just present and waiting. A gentle, persistent awareness that her work was not yet complete, that something more was meant to emerge. That the next chapter of creation was waiting to be written. Sometimes she would pause in her shaping and simply exist, feeling the weight of herself, the solidity of her presence. The mountains were her bones, the valleys her breath. The seas her lifeblood. She was vast and real and powerful. And she was lonely. Not the absolute loneliness of chaos, drowning in formlessness, but the loneliness of one who knows deeply that they are meant to be two. That completion requires another, that the fullest expression of herself would only come through union with an equal. The other primordial beings were still there, of course. Nyx continued her serene movement through the cosmos, wrapped in her calm solitude, patient and unchanging. When their paths crossed, if crossing means anything in that fluid, timeless space, Nyx's presence was a comfort to Gaia. Here was someone who seemed content in independence, who needed no other to feel whole. But Gaia knew somehow that this was not her own nature. Nyx could be complete unto herself, but Gaia was different. Gaia was made for relationship, made for embrace, made for the holy union of earth and sky. Eros's presence was everywhere, subtle and persistent, that gentle force of attraction, encouraging, inviting, reminding Gaia that her longing was not foolish or weak, but was itself a creative force. That desire could bring new things into being just as surely as will could shape mountains, and ancient chaos remained. Ancient chaos remained the backdrop to everything, the infinite canvas upon which this early drama was unfolding. It was silent always, vast and eternal. Watching, perhaps, if watching was something chaos could do. So Gaia waited and created without ceasing, and longed for more. She was the grounding presence of all life, even though life itself had not yet emerged. She was the Great Mother, even though she had not yet given birth to beings that could move and think and feel independently. The world was taking shape, the earth was becoming earth. And in the center of it all was Gaia, patient and powerful, holding within herself both the satisfaction of creation and the sweet ache of incompleteness. The poets tell us these things so we might understand. The world was born not just from power, but from desire, not just from will, but from longing. Gaia created not because she had to, but because she wanted to. And she yearned for the sky not because she was weak, but because she understood with ancient wisdom that the most beautiful creations come from union. From two becoming one, from completeness finding its complement, from earth reaching up to meet sky. And so the foundation was laid. The earth below shaped and formed, mountains rising and valleys breathing, seas moving with their ancient rhythms. This is Gaia's body, even now, billions of years after that first creation. Every mountain that has ever risen, every valley that has ever sheltered life, every shore where waves have touched land, all of it is her, still shaping, still creating, still holding all living things in her patient embrace. And that gentle longing she felt, that sweet incompleteness, was not weakness or flaw. It was the universe calling toward wholeness, toward union and completion, toward the next beautiful thing waiting to be born. Gaia remained present and waiting, her mountains holding steady, her valleys breathing gently, her seas moving softly like an ancient lullaby. And what she longed for was already on its way, just as the sky was already coming to meet the earth. Just as completion was already seeking its beloved, just as the next chapter was already beginning to unfold. Chapter 3, Uranus, the Sky, the First Great Partnership. There comes a moment in every act of creation when longing transforms into manifestation, when the desire held so patiently in the heart suddenly crystallizes into reality, when what was imagined becomes what is. When the emptiness that ached to be filled is finally filled. For Gaia, that moment has arrived. She has shaped the mountains and valleys. She has brought forth the ancient seas. She has created the foundation of the world and held within herself that sweet, persistent longing for something more. For someone to meet her, to complete the picture, to be the sky to her earth. And now, from her own essence, from the depths of her creative power, Gaia brings forth Uranus. The starry sky appears, Uranos the ancient Greeks called him, the heavens themselves. The vault of stars, the infinite dome that would cover and embrace the earth for all time. Imagine the moment of his emergence, where before there had been only the formless void of chaos above Gaia's mountains, now there was presence. There was structure, beauty beyond measure. Uranus arose equal to Gaia herself, vast and expansive, stretching to cover her completely. The poets tell us that he came forth so that he might cover her on every side, a perfect match, a complete embrace. And he was filled with stars, countless points of light, scattered across his dark expanse like diamonds on velvet. Each star a mystery, a promise, a tiny flame burning in the cosmic night. Where Gaia was solid and grounded, Uranus was ethereal and boundless. Where she was the foundation, he was the ceiling. Where she was depth, he was height. They were opposites entirely, and they were perfect for each other. When Uranus first became aware of himself, the first thing he perceived was Gaia. There she was beneath him, solid, real, magnificent. The earth in all her textured glory, mountains rising like reaching hands, valleys soft and inviting. The seas of Pontus moving with their ancient rhythm, all of it her, all of it substantial and present and there. And Uranus felt something he had never felt before because he had never existed before. Awe, pure, overwhelming awe at the sight of her. She was so different from him. Where he was vast emptiness dotted with light, she was concentrated matter. Where he was spread thin across infinity, she was gathered and solid and grounded. She was everything he was not. And that made her the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, which is to say, the only thing he had ever seen, but also truly the most beautiful. Uranus felt himself drawn to her immediately, not by choice exactly, but by nature, as if his very existence was defined by this relationship. As if being the sky meant, fundamentally, being the sky above the earth. Being Uranus meant being Uranus to Gaia. And along with the awe came something else, pride, pride in his own expansiveness, pride in the stars that adorned his darkness. Pride in his ability to cover her completely, to protect and embrace and shelter her. He looked upon himself, his vastness, his reach, his star-studded magnificence, and felt a swelling satisfaction. He was worthy of her, he was enough for her. He was the answer to her longing. And Gaia felt it too. Oh, Gaia felt everything. When she first perceived Uranus above her, the relief that flooded through her being was immense. He was here at last, her counterpart had arrived. The sky she had yearned for, the completion she had sensed was coming but could not force into being. She looked up at him, his dark beauty, his scattered stars, his perfect covering, and felt her loneliness dissolve like morning mist. No longer was she exposed to the formless void. No longer did her mountains reach toward nothing. Now there was something above her. There was someone above her, a presence as vast as her own, as real as her own, meeting her at last. Gaia felt wonder flooding through her, wonder at how perfectly he fit, how his expanse matched her expanse. How his covering completed her groundedness, how the space between them, not too close, not too far, created a perfect realm where someday life would flourish. And beneath the wonder and relief, there was something even deeper, recognition, the sense that this was not random. That this partnership had been written into the fabric of existence from the beginning. That when Eros first emerged as the force of attraction, when that gentle promise of unity first entered the cosmos, this is what was meant. This meeting now, this union here, earth and sky together. Below and above united, foundation and ceiling joined, two halves of a whole, finally finding each other. The poets tell us that Gaia and Uranus came together in sacred union, not as strangers fumbling in the dark, but as natural complements recognizing their own completion. The earth and sky embraced, and in that embrace, everything changed forever. This was the first true partnership in the cosmos, the first relationship of equals. Where Gaia had created Pontus alone, where she had shaped the mountains through her own will, this was different. This was two beings, two vast and ancient powers, choosing to intertwine their essences. Uranus descended to meet her, Gaia rose to meet him, and in the space where they touched, where earth and sky kissed, the universe hummed with possibility. The ancient Greeks understood this union as sacred, hieros gamos, they would later call it, the holy marriage itself. The cosmic coupling from which all life would eventually spring, not merely physical, though it was that. Not merely spiritual, though it was that too, but something that transcended both, the fundamental joining of complementary forces. And it was tender. For all the cosmic grandeur, for all the immense scale of their beings, there was tenderness in their union. Gaia, who had longed so patiently, finally felt seen, held, embraced. Uranus, newly emerged and filled with awe, gave himself completely to the connection. They were careful with each other, they were gentle always, each recognizing in the other something precious and irreplaceable. In their embrace, a new harmony settled over the cosmos. Where before there had been only the primordial beings moving in their separate spheres, chaos in its formless vastness, Nyx in her calm solitude, Erebus in his quiet darkness, now there was relationship. Dynamic connection existed, two powers choosing, moment by moment, to remain intertwined. Uranus spread himself across Gaia's entirety. His stars wheeled slowly overhead, creating the first sense of movement, of cycles, of time's gentle passage. They did not yet exist as mortals would know it, but there was rhythm now, there was pattern. The dance of earth and sky in eternal embrace. Gaia felt complete in a way she hadn't quite imagined possible. Yes, she had longed for this. Yes, she had known something was missing. But the reality of union surpassed the anticipation, to be met by an equal, to be seen in her entirety. To be held without being crushed, embraced without being diminished. This was the gift Uranus brought her. And Uranus, for his part, found in Gaia his own purpose. He was not just the sky in abstract. He was her sky specifically, the one who covered her, protected her, joined with her. His expansiveness had meaning now. His stars had context. He was no longer alone in the void, but was part of something greater than himself. Together they were complete. But completion is not stasis. This is something the ancient poets understood deeply. To be complete is not to be finished. It is simply to have all the necessary parts in place for what comes next. And what comes next for Gaia and Uranus is creation of a new kind. From their union, children will come. Not created by one alone like the mountains or the sea, but born from both, from the joining of earth and sky. From the meeting of solid and ethereal, from the sacred marriage of below and above. But that is a story for another chapter. For now, in this moment, there is simply the harmony of their union. Gaia, grounded and solid, feeling the satisfaction of being held. Uranus, vast and starry, feeling the pride of being worthy, both filled with hope, both filled with possibility. Both amazed by what they have found in each other. The poets tell us that this was the first love story of the cosmos. Not love as mortals would later know it, not yet tangled with jealousy or possessiveness or fear, but love in its purest form. Recognition of the other, meeting without hesitation, two becoming one while remaining two. Picture them there in the early cosmos, the broad earth below, textured and rich, holding within herself the seeds of all life to come. The infinite sky above, dark and beautiful, adorned with stars like promises, and between them the space of their union. Not empty space, but sacred space, potential space waiting, the realm where everything that follows will unfold. They breathe together, if breathing means anything for such vast beings. They exist together, they are together. And in that togetherness, the universe finds its first true balance. Not the solitary presence of chaos, vast and alone, not the independent serenity of Nyx, complete unto herself, but the holy equilibrium of partnership, of earth and sky, of foundation and covering, of two immense powers choosing, frailly and joyfully, to be one. There will be challenges ahead, the poets know this, even if Gaia and Uranus do not yet. The path of relationship is never simple, even for gods, especially for gods. The children that will come from their union will bring complexity, tension, even tragedy. But here, now, in this early chapter of creation, there is only the sweetness of new union. Only the relief of loneliness ended, only the joy of finding one's complement, only the hope that fills every new beginning. And so the first partnership was formed, earth and sky in sacred union, two vast powers meeting as equals. The partnerships that shape existence, the connections that complete us, the bonds that meet us where we are, the relationships where we are seen fully and chosen completely. Gaia and Uranus teach us that even the most powerful beings need connection. That wholeness comes not from being everything yourself, but from finding your complement. That the sweetest moments in existence are when two separate forces recognize each other and say, "Yes, you this." The earth below remains grounded, the sky above continues covering, and the space between them, the realm created by their ancient union, the sacred space where earth and sky have been meeting tenderly for billions of years, holds all that exists. Their embrace continues still, their harmony endures, the promise remains true. That what is meant to meet will meet, that what is meant to unite will unite. That the universe itself is held together by connection, by partnership enduring, by love eternal. Chapter 4: The Birth of the Titans. From the sacred union of earth and sky, children are born. Not mountains this time, nor seas, nor the simple expressions of a single being's nature. These are different. These are beings born from two, from the mingling of Gaia's solidity and Uranus's expansiveness, from the meeting of below and above, from love made manifest. The poets call them Titans, Titans in the ancient tongue. The first generation of gods, beings of immense power and presence, each one carrying within themselves the essence of both parents, yet utterly unique. Utterly themselves always. Hesiod names them carefully, reverently, as one might name the pillars that hold up the world, because that is what they are. That is what they will become. The Titans are coming. And with them, the cosmos grows more complex, more beautiful, and more fragile than it has ever been before. The first to emerge from Gaia's depths are Oceanus and Tethys. Oceanus, the great river that encircles the world. Not like Pontus, the primordial sea born from Gaia alone, but something more defined, more purposeful. Oceanus is flow itself, the continuous stream, the boundary between the known and unknown, the waters that mark where earth ends and mystery begins. He emerges already knowing his nature, already understanding that he is meant to encircle, to flow, to define edges. There is a calm certainty to Oceanus, a sense of perpetual motion without urgency. He will flow forever, and he is content with this. And beside him comes Tethys, his sister, his complement. Where Oceanus is the river, Tethys is the nourishing aspect of water, the source, the spring, the life-giving moisture. Together they are two halves of the aquatic divine, two expressions of one fundamental principle. Gaia feels them emerge from her depths and knows a new kind of joy, not the solitary satisfaction of creating alone, but the shared wonder of bringing forth children with Uranus. Their children together, beings that carry both of them forward into the future. Uranus, watching from above, feels his pride swell. These are his offspring, proof of his potency, his worthiness, his power. They are magnificent, these first Titans. They are mighty beings, and they are only the beginning. Next come Hyperion and Theia. Hyperion, whose name means he who goes above, the Titan of light, of height, of the high places. He emerges with a brightness about him, not yet the sun, but the principle that will one day give birth to the sun, the promise of illumination. And Theia beside him, radiant Theia, whose name means divine or goddess. She is sight itself, the shimmer, the gleam, the way light catches and reflects and makes things visible. Together, Hyperion and Theia are luminosity and vision, the ability to see and to be seen. Gaia marvels at them, how different they are from Oceanus and Tethys, yet how perfect. Each pair emerging with its own nature, its own purpose, its own domain within the growing cosmos. She feels her love expanding with each birth. This is what it means to be mother, she thinks, to bring forth beings who are of you but not you, who carry your essence but express it in ways you never imagined, who are both familiar and surprising. It is overwhelming, this love. Vast and tender and fierce all at once. Then Coeus and Phoebe arrive, twins of inquiry and prophetic light. Cronus, the titan of intellect, of questioning, of the axis around which understanding turns. Even in his first moments, there is something searching about him, something that wants to know, to comprehend, to pierce through mystery. Phoebe, bright Phoebe, whose name means bright or pure, she is prophecy, the ability to see beyond the present moment into the patterns of what will be. Where Cronus questions what is, Phoebe perceives what will be. They are the mental titans, the ones of mind and foresight. And they look upon the growing cosmos with eyes that already seem to see more than surfaces, more than the obvious. Gaia watches them and feels something new, a slight uncertainty. These children are powerful. They are mighty in ways she is only beginning to understand. They have capacities she does not fully possess. They are both of her and beyond her. Is this what all parents feel? This mixture of pride and humility, this recognition that you have brought forth something that will surpass you. More titans emerge, each one a wonder. Cronus comes forth, solid and steady, the titan of constellations and the measuring of years. He will be the one who marks time's passage, who gives structure to the cosmos's unfolding. Erebus arrives, the titan of mortality and craftsmanship. Though mortality itself does not yet exist, he carries its seed within him. He is the ancestor of Prometheus, of Atlas, of those who will bridge the divine and mortal realms. Themis emerges, and with her comes something entirely new, divine law, not force, not power, but order. The principle that there are right ways and wrong ways, that justice exists as a cosmic reality. Themis is fairness personified, and even Gaia feels a certain reverence for this daughter who embodies something beyond even earth and sky. And Mnemosyne, beautiful Mnemosyne, the titan of memory. She is the ability to hold what has passed, to carry forward what would otherwise be lost. In a cosmos that has existed largely in an eternal present, Mnemosyne introduces continuity, the past held safe, informing the present. Each titan is unique, each is magnificent, each carries a piece of cosmic function that will shape everything to come. And then come the youngest, the most fateful, Cronus and Rhea. Cronus emerges different from his siblings. Where Oceanus was calm, where Hyperion was bright, where Themis was just, Cronus is ambitious. Even in his first moments, there is something sharp about him, something calculating within him. He looks at the world with eyes that assess, that measure, that want. The poets tell us his name means time, though not time as gentle Cronus measures it, but time as the devourer. Time that consumes everything it touches, time that takes and never gives back. But Gaia does not see this yet. She sees only another powerful son, another titan born from her union with Uranus. She feels the same maternal love for Cronus as for all her children. And beside Cronus comes Rhea, gentle Rhea, where her brother husband-to-be is sharp edges and ambition, Rhea is softness and flow. She is the titaness of fertility, of ease, of the natural flow of generations. Where Cronus will one day represent time's harsh march, Rhea represents time's gentle gifts, growth, renewal, the cycling of life. Together they complete the 12 great titans, 6 brothers, 6 sisters, 12 pillars of cosmic power. The family is growing. Gaia looks upon all her children and her heart is full to bursting. This is what she longed for in those early days when she was alone, shaping mountains with no one to witness. This abundance before her, this life emerging, this blessed complexity of relationship and presence. She loves each titan fiercely, Oceanus with his calm flow, Hyperion with his brightness. Themis with her perfect justice, Mnemosyne with her gentle keeping of memory, all of them completely. Each one a treasure. Her love is not divided among them. That is not how a mother's love works. Instead, it multiplies, it expands outward. It becomes vaster with each child born. There is enough love for all of them, endless love, infinite love, the kind of love that only a being as large as the earth could contain. But along with the joy, something else stirs in Gaia's heart. She feels complexity growing. Where before there was just her and Uranus moving in simple harmony, now there are 14 conscious beings. 12 titans, each with their own nature, their own will, their own desires. Plus herself and Uranus, navigating not just their relationship, but their roles as parents. Family is beautiful, but family is also complicated. Uranus watches his children with mixed feelings. Pride, certainly yes. These are his offspring, proof of his potency and power. They are magnificent, each and every one. When he looks at Hyperion's brightness or Oceanus's calm certainty, he feels satisfaction. I made these, he thinks. I am father to these mighty beings. But beneath the pride, something else is stirring, something quieter still, something he doesn't quite want to acknowledge. He feels unease. These titans are powerful, incredibly powerful beings. As he watches them move through the cosmos, watches them discover their domains and abilities, Uranus realizes something unsettling. They are, in some ways, as powerful as he is. Perhaps one day they could be more powerful. They are young now, still discovering themselves, still deferring to their parents. But what happens when they fully come into their power? What happens when they decide they no longer need the sky's covering, when they look up at him and think, we could do this ourselves? Uranus pushes these thoughts away. He is being foolish. These are his children, his beloved offspring. There is no threat here, only family here, only love between them. And yet the unease remains, small but persistent, a tiny shadow at the edge of his vast, star-studded consciousness. The Titans, meanwhile, are discovering each other. Oceanus and Tethys move together naturally, already beginning to understand their shared purpose. They speak in the language of water, of flow, of boundaries and nourishment. Hyperion and Theia find each other's brightness and are drawn together like light to light. They seem to glow when they are near each other, as if their combined radiance is greater than their individual luminosity. Coeus and Phoebe engage in deep conversation, sharing thoughts about the nature of reality, about the patterns they are beginning to perceive in the cosmos's unfolding. Between his questioning and her foresight, they form a formidable partnership of understanding. And Cronus watches carefully. Cronus watches them all. He observes his siblings pairing off, finding their purposes, settling into their roles. He sees the harmony developing among them, the natural order emerging, and he feels something his siblings do not seem to feel, dissatisfaction. Not with them exactly, but with the cosmic arrangement, with the way things are. With the hierarchy that places Uranus above them all, with Gaia below and the Titans in between. Cronus looks up at his father, the vast sky studded with stars, and thinks, why should he be above? Why should we be below? He doesn't speak these thoughts, not yet, not now. He is too young, too new. But they are there, seeds planted deep in his consciousness, questions that will grow in time into something far more dangerous. For now, though, there is mostly harmony. The Titans learn to coexist. They establish relationships with one another. They begin to understand their places in the cosmic family, brothers and sisters, discovering what it means to be siblings. What it means to share parents, to share origins, to be both similar and different. Rhea moves among them like a calming presence. Where tensions arise, she soothes them. Where confusion emerges, she clarifies. She has a gift for holding space, for making room for everyone's nature to express itself without conflict. She watches Cronus carefully, her future husband, though neither of them knows this yet. She sees the sharpness in him, the ambition, the restlessness. And she feels drawn to him despite, or perhaps because of, these edges. There is something compelling about his intensity, even if it sometimes troubles her. The family is finding its rhythm, but rhythm is not the same as permanence. And harmony, however beautiful, is always more fragile than it appears. Gaia tries to hold them all, her 12 mighty children, her powerful husband, the growing complexity of relationship and presence. She feels the strain of it sometimes. Not physical strain, she is the earth, vast beyond measure. But emotional strain persists, the work of keeping everyone connected, everyone at peace, everyone moving forward together. She notices Uranus's shifting moods, the way he sometimes seems to withdraw, to pull back his covering just slightly, as if creating distance. She notices Cronus's sharp gaze turned upward, the way Rhea watches Cronus with concern. But she also sees the beauty, Oceanus and Tethys in perfect harmony, Hyperion and Theia radiating joy. Themis establishing just principles, Mnemosyne carefully holding each precious moment in her eternal memory. The family is growing, and with growth comes challenge, but also with growth comes possibility. Potential for greatness, the promise of a future richer and more complex than anything that came before. And so the Titans took their place in the cosmos, 12 mighty beings, each one unique and powerful, each one carrying forward the legacy of earth and sky. The complexity of love multiplied through them, each person bringing their own nature, their own gifts, their own challenges into being. Harmony and tension existing side by side, both real, both true. New life changes everything. Children transform parents completely, siblings shape each other. A family is always growing, always evolving, always becoming something new. The Titans teach us that power and vulnerability can coexist, that even gods experience the uncertain joy of growing families. That love expands to hold whatever comes, even when what comes is more complex than we imagined. And so complexity entered the cosmos. Families, for all their challenges, are worth the effort. Each new being brings something irreplaceable into the world, and the cosmos itself is just a family, learning how to hold all its members with love. Chapter 5, Shadows in the Family, Uranus's Fear. Something is changing in Uranus. It happens slowly, like clouds gathering on a distant horizon. At first, it's barely noticeable, just a slight shift in his energy, a subtle alteration in the way he holds himself above the earth. But gradually, unmistakably, something within the great sky is transforming, and it is not a transformation toward light. The poets tell us what happens next with careful, somber words. They understand that this is where the story turns, where the harmony begins to fracture, where fear enters the cosmic family and casts its long shadow across everything that has been built. Gaia and Uranus have more children coming, and these children will be different. After the 12 Titans, Gaia gives birth to the Cyclopes, 3 brothers powerful and strange, Brontes, Steropes, and Arges. Thunder, lightning, and brightness. Their names speak to their natures. They are forces of storm and illumination, beings of raw elemental power. But they are also different in form from the Titans. Each Cyclops has only one eye, round and luminous, set in the center of their foreheads. One great eye that sees with unusual clarity, with penetrating vision. They are craftsmen, makers, builders of incredible skill. In their hands, raw materials transform into wonders. They understand the deep workings of matter and energy in ways even the Titans do not. When they emerge from Gaia's depths, she loves them immediately and completely. They are her children, just as surely as the Titans are. Different, yes indeed, unusual in appearance certainly, but beautiful in their own way. Powerful in their own right, she sees their potential, their genius, their incredible gifts. But when Uranus looks down at them, he does not see what Gaia sees. He sees difference only. He sees strangeness, beings who do not fit the pattern he had grown comfortable with. And beneath his discomfort, that unease that had been growing in him suddenly finds a focus. These are too powerful, he thinks. These know too much. These could make things I cannot control. The fear that had been abstract becomes specific. And then come the 100-handed ones, 3 more brothers, Cottus, Briareus, and Gyges. The Hecatonchires, the Greeks called them, beings of overwhelming physical power, each with 50 heads and 100 arms. They are force incarnate. When they move, it is like a storm of limbs, a hurricane of action. They could reshape landscapes with their 100 hands. They could defend or destroy with equal ease. They are mightier in physical strength than perhaps any beings yet born, and they are gentle. Despite their terrifying appearance, despite their overwhelming power, the 100-handed ones emerge with sweet temperaments. They are loyal, kind, eager to help. They look to their parents with devotion, ready to serve, ready to assist in whatever way they can. Gaia sees this gentleness beneath their mighty exteriors and loves them fiercely. She runs her essence over their forms. Yes, they are unusual, but they are hers. Her sons completely, her beloved children. She would never reject them for being different. Never turn away from them because they challenge expectations. But Uranus reacts differently. When Uranus sees the 100-handed ones, something inside him breaks. This is too much, this is too strange, too powerful for him. Too unpredictable entirely. These beings could overthrow the order he has grown accustomed to. These beings, with their 100 arms and 50 heads, could rise up and tear the sky itself down if they chose to. The fear that had been growing in him suddenly blooms into something darker. Terror grips him now, and from terror comes a terrible decision. Uranus does the unthinkable. He takes the Cyclopes and the 100-handed ones, these children who have done nothing wrong, who have shown no malice, who have only ever been themselves, and he hides them away. He pushes them back into Gaia's depths, back into the dark places of the earth. Into Tartarus, that deep abyss that came forth at the beginning of all things. He imprisons them there in the lowest, darkest places, where they cannot be seen, cannot act, cannot exist in the light. The poets say he did this because they were hateful to him from the first, but hateful for what reason? For existing at all, for being born different, for having power he could not predict or control. The truth is simpler and sadder. Uranus acts from fear, pure, overwhelming fear of being surpassed. Fear of losing his position, fear of the future these strange, powerful children represent. And so he hides them away, as if by making them invisible, he can make them not matter. Gaia feels them pushed back into her depths like knives entering her body. The pain is immediate and immense. Not just physical, though there is that, the sense of her children trapped within her, unable to emerge, unable to live freely. But emotional pain that dwarfs even the physical. Her children are suffering. Her sons, the Cyclopes with their brilliant minds, the 100-handed ones with their gentle hearts, are imprisoned in darkness. They are trapped now. They are hidden away, denied their right to exist in the cosmos they were born into. And the one doing this to them is Uranus, her partner in creation, her complement in everything. The sky she had longed for so desperately, the being with whom she had created such beauty, such harmony, such love. How can he do this? How can he hurt their children? How can he prioritize his fear over their welfare? Gaia's grief is vast and heavy. It settles into her being like stones, weighing her down. She who had felt such joy in creation, such satisfaction in motherhood, now feels the bitter ache of helplessness. She pleads with Uranus, she argues with him, she begs for mercy. They are our children, she says. They have done nothing wrong. Please release them now. Let them live in the light. Let them be free. But Uranus will not listen. His fear has hardened into something like cruelty. Or perhaps it was always cruelty, masquerading as caution. Either way, he refuses. The strange children must stay hidden. They are too dangerous, too unpredictable for him. They are too much, and so they remain in darkness, and Gaia's heart breaks a little more each day. The Titans watch all this unfold with growing unease. They see their father's fear. They see their mother's grief. They feel the tension crackling through the cosmos like electricity before a storm. Some of them feel sympathy for their trapped siblings. Themis, with her innate sense of justice, knows this is wrong. Mnemosyne holds the memory of when the family was whole, when there was only joy and discovery. Oceanus and Tethys feel the disturbance in the natural flow of things. Others feel more conflicted. Hyperion and Theia, beings of light, are uncomfortable with those who are different. Creus, who marks time and order, is disturbed by the chaos these strange siblings represent. And Cronus observes carefully. Cronus watches his father's actions with sharp attention. He sees the fear. He recognizes it because he feels something similar himself, that unease about power and position and hierarchy. But where Uranus's fear makes him imprison and hide, Cronus's awareness makes him calculate. Father is afraid of being overthrown, Cronus thinks. He acts from weakness, not strength. He hides those who might challenge him rather than facing them openly. Cronus files this observation away. It will be useful later. For now, though, he says nothing. None of the Titans do. They are still too young, too uncertain. And however wrong this seems, Uranus is still their father, still the sky above. Still, in some sense, the ultimate authority, so they remain silent. And in their silence, they are complicit. Gaia's grief transforms over time into something else. Not acceptance, she will never accept this injustice. But a hardening begins, a resolve takes shape, a quiet, growing determination that this cannot stand forever. That somehow, someday, her trapped children must be freed. She continues to feel them within her depths. The Cyclopes, using their brilliant minds to craft things even in darkness, refusing to let their gifts be completely extinguished. The hundred-handed ones, maintaining their gentle natures even in imprisonment, still loyal, still hoping for release. Their resilience breaks her heart and fills her with fierce pride at the same time. My children, she thinks. My strong children, my patient ones, my suffering sons. I will find a way, I promise you, I will find a way. But she doesn't know what that way will be, not yet at least. Uranus, meanwhile, tries to pretend everything is fine. He continues to spread across the sky, to embrace Gaia as he always has. He watches the Titans move through the cosmos and feels relief that they, at least, are not too strange, not too threatening. Not too much for him. He tries to push away the guilt that occasionally surfaces. Those children deserved their imprisonment, he tells himself. They were dangerous beings. They were unpredictable. He did what he had to do to maintain order, to protect the cosmos, to ensure stability. But deep down, in places he doesn't like to examine, Uranus knows the truth. He acted from fear, not wisdom. From selfishness, not necessity. He hurt innocent beings to protect his own position. He betrayed his children, and in doing so, betrayed Gaia's trust. And once trust is broken, it is very difficult to repair. The distance between earth and sky, which had been filled with love and connection, now holds something else as well. Resentment. Disappointment grows there, the slow erosion of what was once sacred. Uranus feels this but doesn't know how to fix it, so he does what many do when faced with guilt they cannot process. He doubles down. He insists he was right. He justifies his actions. He refuses to acknowledge the pain he has caused. And in his refusal, he seals his own fate. The Titans begin to sense the change in their parents' relationship. The harmony that once defined Gaia and Uranus's union has fractured. They still embrace, the sky still covers the earth, but there is tension now. There is strain between them. An undercurrent of bitterness that wasn't there before. It affects everything around them. The cosmos itself feels different, less stable than before, less certain entirely. As if the foundation upon which everything rests has developed cracks. Rhea feels it most keenly. She, who will one day be the great mother of the Olympian gods, already has that maternal sensitivity to emotional undercurrents. She sees her mother's hidden sorrow, she senses her father's defensive rigidity, and she grieves for what has been lost. Can it be repaired, she asks Themis one day. Themis, who understands justice and order, pauses before answering. That depends, she says slowly, on whether pride can be set aside. Whether fear can be overcome, whether love is strong enough to admit wrong. And if it's not, Rhea whispers quietly. Themis looks at her sister with ancient, knowing eyes. Then the family will break, she says simply. And from breaking completely, new order will emerge. This is the way of things. Nothing stays the same forever, not even for gods. And so the shadow fell across the family. Fear had entered the cosmic harmony. How fear can enter even the most loving relationships. How pride can prevent healing. How unspoken pain can fester and grow until it becomes something that cannot be ignored. The imprisoned children represent the parts we hide away because they seem too different, too much, too threatening to the order we've established. The gifts we bury because we're afraid of their power, and the courage it takes to free what has been hidden. To admit when fear has led us astray, to choose love over control, vulnerability over defensiveness. The story of Uranus teaches us that power without wisdom leads to cruelty. That fear, unchecked, destroys what it seeks to protect. That hiding problems doesn't solve them, it only delays the inevitable reckoning. But the story also teaches us about resilience, about the Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones maintaining their nature even in darkness. About Gaia's determination to eventually free her children, about the promise that what is buried will not stay buried forever. Even in darkness, light persists. Even when relationships fracture, love remembers what was good. No imprisonment lasts forever, and the seeds of liberation are often planted in the very soil of suffering. Chapter 6, Cronus steps forward, a son's bold decision. There comes a moment when suffering can no longer be borne in silence, when the weight of injustice grows too heavy. When patience transforms into determination, when someone must stand up and say, "This cannot continue." For Gaia, that moment has arrived. She has endured her children's imprisonment for long enough. She has felt them trapped within her depths, suffering in darkness, denied their birthright. She has watched Uranus continue as if nothing is wrong, as if fear justifies cruelty, as if a father's terror matters more than his children's freedom. And she has decided enough. But Gaia cannot free them herself. She is the earth, vast, powerful, enduring. But she cannot reach up and pull down the sky. She cannot force Uranus to change. She needs help from another. She needs a champion. She needs one of her children to act. And so Gaia does something both necessary and heartbreaking. She approaches the Titans with a plan that will change everything. Gaia gathers her 12 Titan children in a deep, hidden place within herself, a cavern, perhaps one. A sacred space where her voice echoes with both authority and anguish. She calls them all Oceanus and Tethys, Hyperion and Theia, Cous and Phoebe, Creus, Ipetus, Themis, Mnemosyne, Cronus and Rhea. They come, sensing the gravity of this gathering. They see their mother's sorrow, deeper now than ever before. They feel the weight of what she is about to ask. When they are assembled, Gaia speaks. Her voice is steady, but beneath the steadiness is an ocean of pain. She tells them what they already know, but perhaps have not let themselves fully acknowledge. Their father has committed a terrible wrong. He has imprisoned innocent children out of fear. He has allowed cruelty to replace love. He has broken the sacred trust of family. Your siblings suffer, Gaia says. The Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones live in darkness because your father fears their power. They have done nothing wrong, yet they are punished. This injustice cannot stand. The Titans listen, uncomfortable. They know she is right. But knowing something is wrong and acting against it are very different things. Gaia continues, and now her voice hardens with resolve. I have made something, she says. And from her essence she produces it, a great sickle forged from adamant, the hardest substance in existence. Gray and gleaming and sharp beyond measure, the Titans stare at it, understanding immediately what it means. What it's for exactly. One of you must take this, Gaia says. One of you must act. Your father must be stopped. Your siblings must be freed. Silence falls over the gathering. Heavy, uncomfortable silence settles. The Titans look at each other, at the sickle, at their mother. They understand what she is asking. She wants one of them to rise against their father, to challenge the sky itself. To use this weapon against the being who gave them life. It is a terrible request. An impossible request entirely, and yet they know something. They know it is also just. But knowing something is right doesn't make it easy, doesn't make it any less frightening. Uranus is the sky, vast and powerful. He is their father, the source of half their being. To act against him is to upend the cosmic order, to risk everything they know. One by one, the Titans lower their eyes. Oceanus, calm and certain in most things, cannot do this. His nature is to flow, to accommodate, not to sever or attack. Hyperion, bright and proud, shrinks back. He cannot strike against the sky that holds his light. Coeus, for all his questioning intelligence, cannot find the courage to act. Understanding a problem is not the same as solving it. Ipetus, Creus, the others, all feel the weight of the request and find it too heavy. They are sorry deeply. They wish they could help, but they cannot be the one to do this terrible, necessary thing. Even Themis, who knows with absolute clarity that this is just, cannot bring herself to wield the weapon. Justice must be served, but she cannot be its instrument. Not in this way, not against her own father. The silence deepens further. Gaia's hope begins to waver. Will none of them act? Will fear rule all her children, just as it rules Uranus? And then Cronus speaks. I will do it. 3 words spoken clearly, simple and certain, cutting through the silence like the blade of the sickle itself. All eyes turn to him, Cronus, the youngest of the brothers. Cronus, who has been watching and calculating since the moment he was born. Cronus, whose sharp mind has been turning over this problem, this cosmic equation, finding its solution. I will take the sickle, he says. I will act against our father. I will free our siblings. Gaia feels a rush of emotions. Relief, first and foremost. Someone will act now. The injustice will be addressed, but also something else. A flicker of unease. Because she sees in Cronus's eyes not just courage, not just righteousness, but something sharper still. Something hungrier within him. Cronus is not doing this purely out of love for his imprisoned siblings. He is doing it because he has been waiting for an opportunity like this. Because he has wanted to challenge his father since he first looked up at the vast sky and thought, why should you be above? Resentment fuels his courage. Ambition sharpens his resolve. Yes, freeing his siblings is important. Yes, justice matters greatly, but beneath these noble motivations is something more personal. Cronus wants his father's position. Still, Gaia has no other choice. None of her other children will act. And Cronus's motivations, however mixed, will achieve the necessary result. She hands him the sickle, and it fits his hand perfectly. The other Titans watch their brother take up the weapon with mixed feelings. Some feel relief that they are not the ones being called to act. Some feel shame at their own cowardice. Some feel admiration for Cronus's bravery, while others sense, as Gaia does, that his motivations are not entirely pure. Rhea watches him most carefully of all. She sees the determination in his eyes, the hunger burning there. The ambition barely concealed beneath the surface of his declared purpose. She loves him. She has always been drawn to his intensity, his sharpness, his difference from their calmer siblings. But she also fears what he might become. Be careful, she whispers to him, so quietly only he can hear. Don't let this change you into what you're fighting against. Cronus glances at her, and for a moment his expression softens. He values Rhea's opinion, her gentleness, her wisdom. But then he looks back at the sickle in his hand, and the hardness returns. Our father changed himself, he says. I'm just finishing what he started. It's not quite an answer to her warning, but it's all he offers before turning his attention fully to the task ahead. Gaia gives Cronus instructions. She tells him where to hide, where to wait. She will arrange for the moment when Uranus comes to embrace her, when the sky descends to meet the earth in their nightly union. That is when Cronus must act. That is when the weapon must strike. The other Titans are instructed to help, to support their bold brother, to stand with him even if they cannot wield the blade themselves, and so they position themselves. Oceanus at the east, Hyperion at the south, Epetus at the west, and Cous at the north, holding the corners of the world as it were. Ready to grasp their father when he descends, ready to hold him in place so Cronus can act. It is a plan born of desperation and necessity, a plan no one wants to execute but everyone knows must happen. The poets tell us this moment with careful gravity. They understand what it means, the first act of violence within the cosmic family. The first time child raises hand against parent, the first rupture that can never be fully repaired. But they also understand that sometimes terrible actions are necessary responses to terrible wrongs, that Uranus's cruelty set this in motion. That fear and pride created the conditions for this revolt. This is not a simple story of good versus evil. This is a complex story of fear begetting fear, of wounds creating wounds, of broken trust leading to broken harmony. The moment comes at last. Uranus descends to embrace Gaia as he has done countless times before. Vast, expansive, star-studded sky lowering to meet solid earth. It should be beautiful. It should be sacred. It once was both those things, but now it is the moment of reckoning. The four Titans at the corners reach up and grasp their father. Uranus, surprised, finds himself held. He is restrained completely, unable to pull back, unable to escape. And from his hiding place, Cronus emerges with the adamantine sickle. The poets describe what happens next with careful discretion, focusing not on graphic details but on the cosmic significance. Cronus acts decisively, the sickle strikes true. Uranus is wounded, fundamentally and irreversibly. The sky cannot be fully separated from the earth. They remain connected, earth below and sky above. But the intimacy of their union is broken, the closeness is severed. Where before Uranus embraced Gaia completely, now there is space between them. Distance grows there now. The forced creation of boundaries. Uranus cries out and his voice echoes across the cosmos. It is a sound of pain, yes, but also of shock. He feels betrayal completely. He is filled with disbelief. His own children have acted against him. His own son has wounded him. The order he thought was secure has been completely overturned. From the blood that falls from Uranus's wound, new beings are born. The Erinyes emerge, the Furies, spirits of vengeance who will forever after punish those who violate family bonds. They spring from this first family violence, as if the cosmos itself is creating guardians against such acts ever being taken lightly. The gigantes are born, the giants, who will one day challenge the Olympian gods themselves, and the Melii, the Astri nymphs, spring forth as well. Even in wounding there is creation, even in violence there is birth. The cosmos is never simple. From terrible acts, both consequences and new possibilities emerge. When it is done, Uranus pulls back, retreating to the high places beyond reach. He is diminished now. Not destroyed, you cannot destroy the sky, but changed, fundamentally altered forever. His power over the earth is broken. His authority over his children is shattered. His relationship with Gaia is irrevocably damaged. He looks down at them all, at Gaia who planned this, at Cronus who executed it, at the other Titans who assisted, and his shock hardens into bitterness. You will suffer for this, he says, his voice cold and distant now, no longer the warm covering presence he once was. Cronus, you especially will suffer. You think you have won, but you have only ensured your own fate. You will be overthrown by your own children, just as you have overthrown me. This I prophesy clearly. This I curse you with. And with those words, Uranus withdraws to the farthest reaches of the sky, as far from the earth as he can get while still being sky. The separation is complete. In the immediate aftermath, there is chaos and confusion. The Titans process what has just happened. They have acted against their father. They have fundamentally altered the cosmic order. Nothing will be the same. Gaia's first action is to free the imprisoned children. The Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones emerge from Tartarus, blinking in the light, hardly believing their liberation has come. She embraces them fiercely. "You are free," she tells them. "Finally, you are free." They weep with gratitude and relief. The long darkness is over. They can finally be who they are meant to be. But even in this moment of justice achieved, Gaia feels the cost of it. She has asked her children to act violently against their father. She has orchestrated the breaking of the family. Yes, it was necessary. Yes, Uranus's cruelty left no other choice, but necessity doesn't erase pain. Cronus stands with the sickle still in his hand, and around him his siblings gather close. Some look at him with admiration. Some with fear clearly, some with a mixture of both. He has done what none of them could do. He has been brave enough, bold enough, ruthless enough to act. And in acting, he has become the most powerful among them. The other Titans sense it immediately. The hierarchy has shifted. Cronus is no longer just another sibling. He is the one who overthrew the sky. He is the one willing to do what others will not. He is, effectively, the new ruler. Rhea approaches him carefully. She sees the change in him already, the way he stands differently. The way the others defer to him. The way power is already beginning to settle on his shoulders like a mantle. "You did a brave thing," she says softly. Cronus looks at her, and for a moment his expression is complex. Pride and satisfaction, yes. But also something more troubled, as if some part of him knows that Rhea's earlier warning was prescient. That in overthrowing his father, he has perhaps become more like him than he would care to admit. "Someone had to," he says simply. And then, because he cannot quite face the complexity of the moment, he turns away to address the others. To begin establishing the new order, to take up the mantle of leadership. The age of Uranus is over, the reign of Cronus is beginning. And so the cosmic order shifted, moments when action becomes necessary. When wrongs must be addressed, even when addressing them is costly. When someone must stand up, even when others remain silent. When justice requires courage, and courage requires sacrifice. The complexity of motivations revealed itself, how good actions can spring from mixed intentions. How the same person can be both hero and someone driven by less noble desires. How bravery and ambition can exist in the same heart. And the cost of change became clear, how even necessary transformations leave wounds. How liberation and loss can happen simultaneously, how nothing of significance ever happens without something else being lost. The story of Cronus teaches us about the burden of action, about the weight of being the one who must act when others will not. About the danger of letting righteous action feed unhealthy ambition. But it also teaches us about courage, about the importance of standing against injustice even when the cost is high. About freeing what has been imprisoned, even when the imprisonment seems permanent. Change, however painful, is sometimes necessary. Courage exists always, even in imperfect people. The imprisoned can be freed, and new ages dawn even from dark moments. Chapter 7, The Reign of Cronus, the Golden Age. After the storm comes stillness, after the upheaval comes settling. After the breaking comes, if not complete healing, then at least the gentle work of building something new from what remains. The cosmos has been fundamentally changed. Uranus has withdrawn to the farthest reaches, no longer the intimate covering presence he once was. The old order has fallen, and in its place, something new is being born. The reign of Cronus begins, and for a time, a long, golden, shimmering time, it is beautiful. Cronus takes his place as ruler of the cosmos with a mixture of pride and purpose. He is no longer just one titan among 12. He is the one who acted, the one who freed his siblings, the one who overthrew tyranny and established a new order. His brothers and sisters look to him for leadership, and he accepts this role with the confidence of someone who knows he has earned his position. But Cronus is wise enough at first to know he cannot rule alone. He turns to Rhea, gentle Rhea, whose flowing nature complements his sharp edges. He asks her to stand beside him, not beneath him, to be his partner in this new age they are creating together. Rhea accepts, though a part of her remembers her warning to him. Don't let this change you into what you're fighting against. She watches him carefully, ready to be the stabilizing force he needs, ready to soften what is too harsh, to temper what is too severe. Together they establish a new cosmic order, Cronus and Rhea, king and queen of the Titans. And under their rule, something remarkable begins to unfold. The poets call it the Golden Age, Chrysangenos in Greek. The golden race itself, the time when everything was easier, gentler, more harmonious than it would ever be again. It is an age without toil, without suffering at all, without the harsh necessities that will one day define mortal life. The earth brings forth her gifts freely, abundantly, asking nothing in return. There is no need for plowing or planting. Food simply appears everywhere, growing wild and generous from Gaia's grateful essence. Time itself moves differently in this golden age, where before there was only the eternal present of the primordial beings, and later the tension of Uranus's fearful rule. Now there is something new, time as ease. As flow itself, as the gentle unfolding of one perfect moment into the next, without urgency, without deadline, without the pressure of endings. Cronus, whose name means time, presides over this temporal grace, but it is not the devouring time he will one day become, not yet at all. For now he is time as abundance, time as gift. Time that stretches endlessly forward, promising that the good things will continue, that there is no need to grasp or hoard or fear. The Titans flourish under this new order. Oceanus and Tethys deepen their mastery of waters, creating the 3,000 river gods and the 3,000 Oceanids, nymphs of springs and streams, each one a particular expression of flowing beauty. Their children spread across the world, bringing water's gifts to every corner of the earth. Hyperion and Theia give birth to their own shining children, Helios the sun, Selene the moon, and Eos the dawn. Light becomes not just a principle but a presence, beings who move through the sky on their appointed rounds, bringing illumination and rhythm to the cosmos. The sun rises faithfully, the moon glows steadily, dawn spreads her rosy fingers across the horizon. These are new wonders, and they are glorious. Coeus and Phoebe contribute their own gifts. Phoebe especially comes into her prophetic power, becoming associated with the oracle at Delphi, that sacred place where the future whispers its secrets to those who know how to listen. And all around there is harmony. The Titans work together, each contributing their particular gifts. There are no wars, there are no conflicts, no power struggles arise. They have learned from their father's mistakes, or so it seems. They remember what fear and cruelty created, and they choose differently. For a time, at least. Cronus himself settles into his rule with a satisfaction that borders on contentment. He is admired greatly. He is respected deeply, even loved in his way. The cosmos thrives under his leadership. The golden age is real, tangible, undeniable. When he looks upon what he has created, this era of peace and plenty, he feels vindicated in all his actions. Yes, he had to act violently against his father, but look what that violence purchased: liberation, justice, harmony. The ends justify the means, he tells himself. He did the right thing. And yet something troubles him. Rhea notices something changing, small at first, subtle and quiet. The way Cronus sometimes pauses and looks up at the distant sky where Uranus still exists, withdrawn and bitter. The way his expression hardens when he thinks no one is watching. "What troubles you?" she asks him one quiet moment when they are alone. Cronus hesitates noticeably. He wants to say nothing troubles him, that everything is perfect, that he is completely secure in his position and power. But Rhea's gentleness invites honesty, and so he admits it. "The prophecy," he says quietly, "my father's words haunt me, that I will be overthrown by my own child just as I overthrew him." Rhea feels her heart tighten. She had hoped he would forget those bitter words, that he would dismiss them as the angry curse of a defeated tyrant. But she sees in his eyes that the prophecy has taken root deep in his consciousness, that it grows there like a seed in dark soil. "Prophecies are not inevitable," she says carefully. "We can choose differently than our parents chose. We can be better." Cronus nods, but his eyes remain troubled. "Yes," he agrees outwardly, "we can choose differently." But even as he says it, Rhea senses that what he means by choosing differently might not be what she means. Still, for now, these concerns are small shadows in an otherwise luminous age. The golden time continues. The cosmos breathes in and out in perfect rhythm. Gaia below finally rests. Her imprisoned children are free. Her remaining children rule with relative wisdom. The wound between her and Uranus aches, but it is a distant ache, not an urgent pain. She allows herself to settle into something like peace, not the complete joy she felt in the early days of creation, but a quieter satisfaction. The satisfaction of seeing justice done, of watching her children thrive, of feeling the earth beneath her settled and stable. The Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones, finally free, contribute their gifts to this golden age. The Cyclopes craft wonders with their brilliant minds and single, piercing sight. The hundred-handed ones, despite their fearsome appearance, become gentle guardians, their 100 arms capable of both creation and protection. Everything that Uranus had feared about them proves baseless. They are not threats, they are gifts instead. Their freedom enriches the cosmos rather than destroying it. This perhaps is one of the great lessons of the Golden Age, that fear of the different, fear of the powerful, fear of the new. These fears are almost always more destructive than the things they fear. Time passes in that strange way it passes in ages of contentment, quickly and slowly at the same time. The days flow into each other like water, each one blessed, each one easy. There is no counting because there is no need to count. There is only the endless golden now. Mortals do not yet exist, but if they did, they would look back on this age with longing. They would tell stories of how once, long ago, everything was perfect. How the gods were kind and the earth was generous, and time itself was a gift rather than a thief. And they would be right, it was perfect, or as close to perfect as anything in existence ever comes. But perfection is fragile, especially when it rests on foundations that are not entirely solid. Cronus has built his golden age on the act of overthrowing his father, on violence justified by justice, on the willingness to wound in order to liberate. These are complex foundations, they create complex structures. And deep within those structures, small cracks are beginning to form. Rhea sees the changes in Cronus before anyone else does, the way his contentment is never quite complete, the way his eyes sometimes go distant, calculating, troubled. The way he pauses in their private moments, as if listening for something only he can hear. "Tell me what you're thinking," she invites gently. And sometimes he does. He shares his concerns about maintaining order, about keeping the golden age going, about protecting what they have built. He speaks of responsibility, of the weight of leadership, of the constant vigilance required to prevent chaos. Rhea listens and offers her own perspective. The golden age continues not because we control it, but because we allow it to flow. Trust is what maintains harmony, not vigilance alone, not control completely. Cronus nods, seeming to agree, but Rhea can sense that her words don't quite penetrate. That beneath his exterior agreement is a different belief, that only constant watchfulness prevents disaster. That trust is dangerous, that control is safety. She recognizes this worldview, she has seen it before, she saw it in Uranus. The realization chills her, but she pushes it away. Cronus is not his father, he is different entirely, he is better than that. He has created a golden age, not a prison. He is loved, not feared. And yet the seeds of something darker are there, waiting, growing slowly in the fertile soil of insecurity. The other titans bask in the golden age, mostly unaware of these undercurrents. Oceanus and Tethys are absorbed in their vast aquatic family. Hyperion and Theia delight in their luminous children. Themis continues to establish principles of justice and order. Mnemosyne carefully records everything, holding each golden moment safe in her eternal memory. They trust Cronus completely, they respect him deeply, they have no reason to doubt his continued wisdom and fairness. Only Rhea watches and worries. Only Rhea senses that the golden age, for all its beauty, may be more fragile than anyone realizes. But she says nothing, not yet at least, because what is there to say? Everything is peaceful now, everything is thriving still. Her concerns are only concerns, not facts. Prophecies are only words, not destinies. Perhaps, she tells herself, everything will be fine. Perhaps Cronus will prove strong enough to resist the patterns that destroyed his father. Perhaps love will be enough to keep fear at bay. Perhaps it will work. And so the golden age continues, shimmering and perfect on the surface, while deep below, in places no one is looking, shadows gather strength. This is the nature of golden ages, the poets remind us. They are real and true, they happen truly. There truly are times of peace and plenty and harmony. But they exist in time, and time always moves forward. They rest on foundations that include both wisdom and wounds. They are created by imperfect beings who carry their traumas and fears even into their greatest triumphs. The golden age is not a lie, but neither is it permanent. It is a moment, a beautiful, precious, fleeting moment, and like all moments, it contains within itself the seeds of what comes next. Chapter 8, The Prophecy That Haunts Cronus. Fear is a strange thing. It can lie dormant for a long time, barely noticeable, just a whisper in the back of the mind. But given the right conditions, or the wrong ones, it can grow. It can spread through consciousness like roots through soil, invisible but relentless, until one day you realize it has taken over everything. For Cronus, the fear has been growing quietly throughout the Golden Age. On the surface, everything remains beautiful. The cosmos still thrives, the age of ease continues. His siblings still defer to his leadership. Rhea still stands beside him with her gentle strength. But inside, in the private chambers of his thoughts, the prophecy repeats itself endlessly. You will be overthrown by your own child, just as you overthrew me. Uranus's words echo constantly, spoken in bitterness and pain, yes, but spoken with the weight of prophecy behind them. And prophecies in the ancient world are not mere predictions. They are glimpses of fate itself. They are truths waiting to unfold. Cronus has tried to dismiss the words, tried to tell himself they were just the angry curse of a defeated father. But the words won't leave. They echo in his mind, especially in quiet moments. Especially when he looks at Rhea and thinks about the future they are building together. A future that, according to the prophecy, will end with his own overthrow. Gaia and Uranus come to Cronus together with confirmation of what he already fears. It is a strange meeting. The great Earth Mother and the distant Sky Father, no longer intimate partners but united in this one purpose, to deliver truth to their son. They appear to Cronus in a liminal space, a place between Earth and Sky where all three can speak. Gaia's voice is gentle but firm. She loves Cronus, but she also serves truth. My son, she says, the prophecy is real. One of your children will overthrow you just as you overthrew your father. This is the pattern, this is the way. Uranus, distant and cold now, adds his own confirmation. I told you this would come. Did you think my words were empty? Did you think you could escape the consequences of your actions? There is satisfaction in Uranus's voice, and it cuts Cronus deeply. His father is glad that he will suffer, glad that the pattern will repeat. There is no love here, only bitter vindication. Cronus stands between his parents, the earth who birthed him and the sky who cursed him, and feels the weight of their words settle onto his shoulders like stones. Which child, he asks, his voice tight, when will this happen? But neither Gaia nor Uranus can tell him specifics, or perhaps they choose not to. The prophecy is clear about the outcome but vague about the details. One of his children will overthrow him, but which one exactly? When will it be? How will it happen? The not knowing makes it worse somehow. If it were a specific child at a specific time, perhaps he could prepare. But this way, every child is a potential threat. Every moment could be the beginning of his downfall. After his parents leave, Cronus stands alone with his fear, and fear, unchecked, breeds dark thoughts. He thinks about his father's mistake. Uranus tried to prevent his overthrow by imprisoning the Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones, but that didn't work. If anything, it accelerated his downfall. The imprisonment created the conditions for revolt. It gave Gaia the motivation to act, to create the sickle, to ask her children to rise against their father. So imprisonment doesn't work, Cronus thinks. Hiding the threat doesn't eliminate it. He thinks about his own action against Uranus, the violence that freed his siblings but also traumatized the family, the wound that could never be healed. Would his own child do something similar to him? Would they take up a weapon and strike against him when the time was right? The thought is unbearable. Cronus begins to pace through the cosmos, his mind turning over possibilities, strategies, solutions. How do you prevent a prophecy from coming true? How do you stop fate itself? And then in the darkness of his fearful thinking, an idea begins to form. A terrible idea emerges. An unthinkable idea appears. An idea that makes a horrible, twisted sense. Rhea comes to him and finds him changed. The shift is subtle but unmistakable. His eyes hold a hardness that wasn't there before. His jaw is set in a way that speaks of decisions made, lines crossed, compassion abandoned. The prophecy is confirmed, he tells her without preamble. One of our children will overthrow me. Rhea feels her heart sink. She had hoped he would let this go, that the golden age would soothe his fears, that love would prove stronger than paranoia. We don't have children yet, she says carefully. Perhaps we should simply choose not to have them. If there are no children, there is no overthrow. It is a reasonable suggestion, a peaceful solution offered. But Cronus shakes his head. We are titans, he says. Creation is our nature. We cannot choose not to create any more than the earth can choose not to be earth. Children will come, that is inevitable. Then we will love them, Rhea says, her voice firm despite her growing dread. We will raise them with kindness instead of fear. We will be different than your father was. Love prevents revolt, not cruelty. Cronus looks at her, and in his eyes she sees something that terrifies her. He has already decided. Whatever he is going to do, the decision is made. Her words, however wise, are falling on soil that has already hardened. I have a solution, he says quietly. It's not what I want, but it's necessary. What solution? Rhea asks, though part of her already knows. Part of her can feel the shape of what's coming. Cronus doesn't answer directly. Instead, he says, you were right to warn me, back when I took up the sickle. You said not to let it change me into what I was fighting against. Do you remember? Yes, Rhea whispers softly. I thought I could be different, Cronus continues. I thought I could rule without fear, but perhaps fear is just the price of power. Perhaps it's impossible to hold position without guarding against those who would take it. That's your father talking, Rhea says urgently. That's exactly what he believed, and look what it created. Cronus, please listen to me. But he turns away from her, and she knows with sinking certainty that her husband has already crossed a line she cannot follow him across. Time passes and Rhea's fears are realized. she becomes pregnant with their first child. The pregnancy is both joy and dread. She feels the life growing within her and loves it immediately, fiercely, with all the maternal power that exists in the universe. This is her child, her beloved offspring, the product of her union with Cronus. But she also knows what Cronus intends to do. He has told her, in words that tried to sound reasonable but were really just fear dressed up as logic. I won't imprison them as my father did. I won't hide them away to suffer in darkness. That was his mistake. No, I have a different solution, one that's more complete now. Rhea understands what he means, and the understanding breaks her heart. When their first child is born, beautiful Hestia, goddess of the hearth, of home, of the sacred center, Rhea holds her only briefly before Cronus takes her. I'm sorry, he says, and there might even be genuine regret in his voice, but this is necessary. This is the only way to prevent the prophecy. And then, before Rhea can stop him, before she can even fully process what's happening, Cronus opens his mouth and swallows their daughter whole. The act is so sudden, so unthinkable, that for a moment Rhea cannot even react. She stands frozen, her arms still shaped around the child who is no longer there. Her mind struggles to accept what her eyes have just witnessed. Her husband, her partner, the father of her child, has just consumed their newborn daughter. When the reality finally penetrates, her scream echoes across the cosmos. It is a sound of pure anguish, of maternal grief so profound that it seems to shake the very foundations of the earth. Gaia herself feels it and weeps. The other titans hear it and are horrified. Even Cronus flinches at the sound. But he does not relent. He does not undo what he has done. Instead, he hardens himself against Rhea's grief. She's not dead, he tells Rhea, as if this makes it better. She's safe inside me. She exists in a kind of suspension here, a dreamlike state. She's not suffering. She simply is not free. Rhea looks at him with eyes that no longer recognize him. You've become him, she says, her voice hollow with shock. You've become exactly what you fought against. Worse, even now. At least your father only imprisoned his children. You have done worse. She cannot finish the sentence. There are no words adequate to the horror. But the horror is not over, because the prophecy said one of his children would overthrow him, but it didn't say which one. And so, from Cronus's twisted logic, every child is a potential threat. Every child must be contained. When their second child is born, Demeter, goddess of harvest, of grain, of the life-giving earth, Cronus takes her too. Swallows her despite Rhea's desperate pleas, despite her screams and struggles and attempts to protect her daughter. Please, Rhea begs, holding Demeter close, trying to shield her with her own body. Please don't do this. She's innocent completely. She's just a baby, our baby girl. But Cronus is unmoved, or rather, he has trained himself to be unmoved. He has convinced himself that feeling is weakness, that mercy is danger, that the only way to survive is to eliminate all threats, no matter how small, no matter how beloved. It's necessary, he repeats, like a mantra, like a spell he's casting on himself to make the unthinkable possible. And he takes Demeter from Rhea's arms and swallows her too. The pattern repeats with each child. Hera is born, radiant and powerful even as an infant, destined to be queen of gods. Rhea holds her, loves her, knows with sinking certainty what will happen. And it does happen. Cronus takes her away, swallows her whole. She disappears into the darkness of his fear. Hades comes next, serious and dignified even in infancy, carrying within him the mystery of the underworld that will one day be his domain. Rhea barely has time to look into his eyes before Cronus takes him too, another child swallowed completely, another light extinguished. Then Poseidon, powerful and wild, with the sea's tempest already evident in his newborn cries. Rhea fights harder this time, actually tries to flee with her son, but there is nowhere to run. Cronus is the ruler of the cosmos. His reach is everywhere. He finds her, takes Poseidon, and swallows him like the others. 5 children born, 5 times Rhea has endured the unbearable. 5 times she has felt the particular agony of maternal love followed immediately by maternal loss. 5 times she has screamed, pleaded, fought, and failed. She is breaking under the weight of it. Her gentle nature is being crushed by repeated trauma. The Rhea who once believed in flow and trust and the natural order of things is being replaced by someone harder, someone whose grief has transformed into steely determination. Inside Cronus, the swallowed gods exist in a strange state. They are not dead. Death, as mortals will know it, is not possible for gods. But neither are they truly alive, not in any meaningful sense. They exist in suspension, in a dreamlike awareness, conscious but unable to act, aware but unable to grow. They can sense each other, these imprisoned siblings, Hestia, the firstborn, holding space for the others. Demeter trying to maintain her connection to life and growth despite the darkness. Hera already queenly, already planning, even in this suspended state. Hades strangely at home in the darkness, preparing for a role he doesn't yet understand. Poseidon restless and wild, his storms contained but not calmed. They are waiting patiently. They exist in eternal waiting, held in the belly of their father's fear. And they are aware enough to feel the injustice of it, aware enough to begin, even in their suspended state, to resent, to question everything, to prepare completely. To prepare for the moment when they will finally be free. The other Titans watch this unfold with mounting horror. At first, they don't understand what's happening. Cronus and Rhea have a child, and then suddenly they don't. Where did the child go? What happened exactly? When the truth becomes clear, the reaction is shock and disbelief. Oceanus confronts Cronus directly. "Brother, what are you doing? These are your children, your own offspring." "I'm protecting the Golden Age," Cronus says coldly. "I'm preventing chaos. The prophecy demands this." "The prophecy means nothing," Themis interrupts, her voice sharp with righteous anger. "You're using prophecy to justify atrocity. This is not justice. This is not order. This is fear disguised as wisdom." But Cronus will not listen. He has surrounded himself with the armor of necessity. He has convinced himself that he has no choice, that this terrible thing he's doing is actually the responsible thing, the strong thing, the thing a good ruler must do to maintain order. The Titans are faced with a terrible decision. Do they act against their brother as he once acted against their father? Do they try to stop him, to free the swallowed children? But they remember what that cost. They remember the violence, the family rupture, the irreparable wounds. And they are afraid to act now, afraid of what acting might unleash. And so, like they did when Uranus imprisoned the Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones, they remain silent. Their silence is complicity, and they know it. But fear makes cowards of even gods. Rhea's grief transforms into purpose. After Poseidon is swallowed, after the 5th child is lost, something changes in her. The soft, flowing Titaness begins to harden into something else, something more fierce, more determined than ever. She thinks of Gaia, her mother-in-law, who once asked her children to act against Uranus's injustice. She thinks of the courage that required, the maternal rage that fueled it. And she makes a decision. If another child comes, she will not let Cronus take it. She will fight back, she will deceive if necessary. She will do whatever it takes to save at least one of her children. The prophecy said one child would overthrow Cronus. Very well then, she will make sure that child survives. She will give that child the chance to fulfill destiny, to free their siblings, to end this cycle of fear and cruelty. Rhea's love has not died, but it has been tempered in the fire of repeated loss. It has become something harder, something more dangerous. And when she discovers she is pregnant for the 6th time, she knows this is the one. This is the child she will save, no matter what it costs. Chapter 9, Rhea's Courage Saving Zeus. There's a strength that only comes from surviving the unsurvivable, a courage born not from ignorance of danger, but from having already endured the worst and discovering that somehow, impossibly, you are still here. Still breathing deeply, still capable of action. This is the strength Rhea possesses as her 6th pregnancy progresses. She has lost 5 children. 5 times she has felt the miracle of birth followed immediately by the agony of loss. 5 times she has watched Cronus, her husband, her partner, the father of these children, swallow their offspring whole. 5 times she has been powerless to prevent it. But this time will be different. This time Rhea has a plan, and more importantly, she has help. Rhea goes to Gaia, her mother-in-law, the ancient earth herself. She finds her in a quiet place, a sacred grove where the world's first trees grow. Gaia knows why Rhea has come even before she speaks. She has felt her daughter-in-law's grief through the very ground, through the connection all mothers share across time and space. Grandmother, Rhea says, and her voice carries all the weight of her losses. I need your help. I cannot lose another child. I will not. Gaia looks at her with eyes that hold the memory of her own suffering. She too knows what it is to have children imprisoned, to feel them trapped and suffering. She too knows what it is to live with a partner who has let fear transform him into something monstrous. You will not lose this one, Gaia promises, her voice firm with ancient authority. I will help you. Together we will save your child. The relief that floods through Rhea is so intense it nearly buckles her knees. She is not alone in this. She has an ally. And not just any ally, but the earth herself, the great mother from whom all things emerge. Together they begin to plan. The plan is both simple and audacious: deception. Cronus expects Rhea to bring him the child as she has done 5 times before. He expects her to plead, to cry, to beg, and then ultimately to yield. This is the pattern. He has grown comfortable with it, even as it breaks his wife's heart again and again. But this time Rhea will not bring him their child. She will bring him a stone. Not just any stone, Gaia explains. It must be the right size, the right weight, wrapped in swaddling clothes so that in the dim light, in his expectation and eagerness to be done with the unpleasant task, he will not look too closely. Will it work? Rhea asks, hardly daring to hope. Gaia's smile is knowing and sad. Fear makes us see what we expect to see. Cronus expects a child to swallow. He will see a child. His guilt makes him want to act quickly, to not linger on what he's doing. He will not examine carefully what he so desperately wants to believe is there. It is a plan that depends on Cronus's own psychology, on the way fear has narrowed his perception, on how his guilt makes him rush through the terrible act rather than lingering over it. It is, in other words, a plan that just might work. They also must decide where the child will be hidden once born. This is crucial. Cronus rules the cosmos. His awareness extends everywhere. The child must be somewhere remote, somewhere he would not think to look, somewhere protected by powers beyond his reach. Crete, Gaia says decisively, the island of Crete. There is a cave there, sacred and hidden. Mount Ida awaits. I will prepare it, and I will arrange for guardians. She summons the nymphs of the island, the Melii, ash tree nymphs, and others who owe their existence to her. She calls upon the Curites, ancient spirits who will dance and clash their spears and shields to mask any sound the baby might make. She arranges for a goat named Amalthea to provide milk, and for bees to bring honey. Everything must be ready. The child will need care, nourishment, protection. He cannot simply be hidden and abandoned. He must be raised in secret, allowed to grow strong, prepared for the destiny that awaits him. Rhea watches these preparations with a mixture of hope and heartbreak. Yes, her child will live, but she will not be the one to raise him. She will not watch his first steps, hear his first words, guide his first understandings of the world. She must give him up to save him. It is the terrible mathematics of maternal love. Sometimes saving means separation. The time comes at last. Rhea feels the birth approaching and makes her way to Crete in secret, under cover of night. Gaia guides her, concealing her journey from Cronus's awareness. The other Titans, complicit in their silence, do not interfere. In the sacred cave on Mount Ida, Rhea gives birth to her sixth child. A son is born, powerful even as an infant. She can feel the strength in him, the potential, the destiny. This child is different from her others, not more loved, for she loves them all equally and infinitely, but marked by fate in a particular way. She holds him close, this baby she has fought so hard to save, and allows herself a brief moment of pure maternal joy. He is here now, he is alive, he is warm and real in her arms. She names him Zeus. Zeus is his name, the bright sky, the shining light. The name feels right, feels inevitable. This child will be brightness against the darkness his father has created. This child will be the one. Rhea memorizes everything about him in those precious moments. The weight of him, the sound of his breathing, the feel of his tiny hand wrapping around her finger. She knows these moments must last her a lifetime, because she will not see him again for many years, perhaps not until he is grown. "My son," she whispers, tears streaming down her face. "My beloved Zeus here, I'm so sorry I cannot keep you, but I promise you this, you are loved, you are wanted, and one day you will understand why this had to be." She places him in the care of the guardians Gaia has arranged. The nymphs take him gently, their ancient eyes kind and knowing. Amalthea the goat comes forward, ready to nurse this divine child. The curates stand ready to drown out any cries with their warrior dance. Rhea watches all this through a haze of tears. Every fiber of her being wants to stay, to hold him, to be his mother in deed as well as in essence. But she cannot stay. She must return to Cronus, must play her part in the deception, must be convincing enough that he never suspects. "Keep him safe," she tells them, though she knows they will. "Let him grow strong, and when the time comes, help him understand what he must do." The nymphs bow their agreement. They understand the weight of what they're being entrusted with. Not just a child, but the future. Not just a baby, but the hope of all those who suffer under Cronus's fearful tyranny. Gaia embraces Rhea one last time. "You are braver than you know," she tells her daughter-in-law. "Braver than those who fight with weapons, because you are fighting with love and sacrifice and cleverness, and those weapons are often more powerful than any blade." Now comes the hardest part, the performance. Gaia has prepared the stone perfectly. It is the right size and weight, wrapped carefully in swaddling clothes. In the dim light, it looks exactly like a newborn infant. The deception is complete, if Cronus doesn't look too closely. Rhea takes the stone in her arms and prepares herself. She must seem defeated, as she has been 5 times before. She must seem grief-stricken, as she genuinely is. But she must not seem defiant or secretive or conspiratorial. She must be the broken wife bringing her husband another child to swallow. She returns to Cronus and finds him waiting, as he always is. His expression is hard, closed off. He has trained himself not to feel during these moments. Not to connect with the reality of what he's doing. He treats it as an unpleasant necessity, something to be accomplished quickly and then put out of mind. "Another son," Rhea says, her voice carefully modulated to sound hollow with grief. "Will you take him too?" Cronus nods, not meeting her eyes. "You know I must. The prophecy demands it." Yes, the prophecy," Rhea interrupts bitterly. "Let's not pretend this is anything other than what it is. Take him now. Swallow him whole. Add him to the others trapped inside your fear." Her bitterness is real, which makes it convincing. The only difference is that this time, the child she's handing him is not their son. This time, she's winning even as she appears to lose. Cronus reaches for the bundle and time seems to slow. Rhea holds her breath. Will he notice it? Will he look more carefully? Will he unwrap the swaddling and discover the stone? But Cronus, trapped in his own guilt and eagerness to be done with the unpleasant task, does not look closely. He takes the bundle, opens his mouth, and swallows it whole, just as he has swallowed 5 children before. The stone goes down. Cronus grimaces slightly at the weight of it, at the uncomfortable feeling of swallowing something so solid. But he attributes this to his own revulsion at what he's doing, not to any actual difference in what he's swallowed. He has done it. He has protected himself from the sixth child. The prophecy cannot now be fulfilled, or so he believes. Rhea watches, and inside her chest her heart is racing. It worked perfectly. He believed it completely. Zeus is safe now. She allows herself to collapse, to weep, to rage, all genuine emotions, though their source is more complex than Cronus knows. She is weeping with relief as much as grief. She is raging at what has been done to her other children, even as she celebrates saving this one. Cronus, uncomfortable with her display of emotion, withdraws. He has done his terrible duty. Now he wants to return to ruling, to pretending everything is fine, to maintaining his golden age that is built on such dark foundations. And Rhea lets him go because she has won a victory he doesn't even know has been won. In the cave on Mount Ida, Zeus grows. The nymphs care for him with divine tenderness. Amalthea feeds him, and her milk is not ordinary milk but something nourishing beyond measure. The child grows quickly, strongly, developing at a pace that would be impossible for mortal infants. The Curates dance their wild dance, clashing their spears on their shields, creating a constant din that masks any sound Zeus makes. Their dedication is absolute. They understand that this child must remain hidden until the time is right. Zeus himself is surrounded by love and care. He does not know his mother, but he is not unloved. He does not know his father, but he is not unprotected. He grows up hearing stories, carefully told stories, about the cosmos, about Cronus's rule, about the children trapped inside their father's fear. And as he grows, as his strength and awareness develop, Zeus begins to understand what he is being prepared for. He is the one who escaped, the one who was saved, and with that salvation comes responsibility. His siblings are trapped, his father is a tyrant. The golden age rests on foundations of cruelty. And he, Zeus, is destined to do something about it. Rhea visits in secret whenever she can, which is not often. She finds ways to slip away from Cronus's notice, to travel to Crete, to see her son growing strong and bright and powerful. Each visit is bittersweet. She aches to hold him, to be his mother fully, but she also takes fierce pride in what he's becoming. He is kind, this child of hers. Despite growing up knowing his father's cruelty, Zeus does not become cruel. Despite understanding he is destined for conflict, he does not become aggressive or violent in nature. The nymphs have taught him well. Gaia's influence has shaped him toward justice rather than mere vengeance. Your siblings wait for you, Rhea tells him during one visit. They are aware inside your father. They are waiting to be freed. Zeus, still young but already wise beyond his years, nods seriously. I will free them, he promises. When I am strong enough, when the time is right, I will bring them into the light. Rhea's eyes fill with tears. You are my hope, she tells him. All that I could not protect, all that I lost, you are the answer to that loss. Not a replacement, but a salvation. Zeus embraces his mother, and in that embrace is a promise. He will not fail her. He will not fail his trapped siblings. He will be worthy of the sacrifice that saved him. Years pass in that strange way they pass for gods. Zeus grows from infant to child to youth, each stage bringing new strength, new understanding, new preparation. He practices with the Curates, learning to fight, to strategize, to lead. He listens to the nymphs' wisdom, learning about justice, compassion, balance. He is being shaped not just into a warrior, though he is that. He is being shaped into a king. Into someone who can overthrow Cronus without becoming Cronus. Into someone who can break the cycle rather than perpetuating it. Gaia watches over his development with satisfaction. This is what she hoped for when she helped Rhea. This is the answer to the pattern of fear begetting fear, violence begetting violence. Zeus is being raised differently. He knows why he must act, but he also knows how to act with wisdom rather than mere rage. And in the depths of his father's being, the five swallowed gods sense something changing. They cannot see outside, cannot know what's happening in the wider cosmos. But they feel a shift, a stirring begins, as if somewhere, somehow, hope is being born. Or rather, hope has already been born, is growing strong, is preparing to return. Chapter 10, Zeus Comes of Age. There's a moment in every hero's story when childhood ends and purpose begins, when the protected child must become the protector, when the one who has been saved must now become the savior, when potential crystallizes into action and destiny can no longer be postponed. For Zeus, that moment has arrived. He stands at the entrance of the cave that has been his home, his sanctuary, his entire world. He is no longer the infant Rhea placed in the nymph's care. He is fully grown now, powerful beyond measure, radiant with divine strength. His eyes hold both the gentleness learned from his caretakers and the determination born from understanding his purpose. Behind him, the nymphs watch with pride mixed with sorrow. They have raised him, taught him, loved him. And now they must let him go, knowing he travels toward danger, toward the father who would have swallowed him as he swallowed Zeus's siblings. It is time, Zeus says quietly, more to himself than to them. And it truly is. The waiting is over, the preparation is complete, the moment of reckoning has come. But Zeus does not rush toward confrontation with violence in his heart. This is what makes him different from those who came before. Uranus acted from fear and created cruelty. Cronus acted from ambition dressed as justice and perpetuated the cycle of family violence. But Zeus has been raised with wisdom. He has been taught by Gaia, guided by Rhea's visits, shaped by the gentle nymphs who showed him that power and compassion can coexist. He knows he must confront his father. He knows his siblings must be freed. But he also knows that how he acts matters as much as what he accomplishes. The cycle of fear and violence must be broken, not continued. Before he leaves Crete, Zeus seeks counsel. He goes to Medes, the Oceanid, daughter of Oceanus and Tethys. Medes, whose name means wisdom or cunning intelligence. She is young, like Zeus, but already renowned for her clever mind, her ability to see solutions where others see only problems. I must free my siblings, Zeus tells her, but I don't want to simply wage war against my father. There has been enough violence in this family. Is there another way? Medes considers, her bright eyes thoughtful. Your father swallowed your siblings, she says slowly. They are inside him still, alive but imprisoned. What if there was a way to make him release them somehow? How would that work? Zeus asks, leaning forward. And Medes begins to explain her plan. The plan requires a substance, a potion, a mixture that will make Cronus violently ill, not poison exactly speaking. Gods cannot be killed so easily. But something that will cause his body to rebel against what it has consumed. Something that will force him to regurgitate what he has swallowed. Medes knows herbs and their properties. She understands the way substances interact with divine bodies. Together, she and Zeus create the mixture, adding mustard, salt, and other ingredients that will have the desired effect. It must be given in disguise, Medes warns. Your father is paranoid, he trusts no one. You cannot simply offer him a drink. Zeus nods, understanding completely. Then I will need to approach him as someone he would not suspect, someone harmless entirely, someone beneath his notice. And so a plan within a plan takes shape. Zeus will disguise himself as a cupbearer, a servant, someone so far below Cronus's attention that he would never think to suspect them. He will offer his father a drink, and in that drink will be the potion that frees 5 imprisoned gods. It is clever, it is non-violent, at least in the immediate sense. It uses intelligence rather than brute force. It is, in other words, a plan worthy of the new age Zeus hopes to create. Zeus makes his way to Mount Athres, where Cronus rules. The journey is both physical and emotional. With each step, he moves closer to the father he has never met, the father who tried to erase his existence, the father who holds his siblings prisoner inside his own body. Zeus feels no simple hatred, though hatred would be understandable. Instead, he feels something more complex. He feels pity, perhaps, sadness at what fear has made of Cronus. determination to ensure the pattern does not continue. And yes, beneath it all, anger not hot and reactive, but cold and purposeful. Anger at injustice happening. Anger on behalf of his trapped siblings. Anger at the waste of what could have been. As he approaches, he sees the realm Cronus has built. It still maintains some echoes of the Golden Age, but there are cracks now, visible signs of strain. The cosmos under Cronus's fearful rule is not what it once was. The ease has been replaced by tension. The harmony has fractured into watchfulness. The other titans sense something changing. Oceanus pauses in his eternal flow. Themis looks up from her contemplations of justice. Even distant Hyperion, bright with his children's light, feels a shift in the cosmic atmosphere. Something is coming now, someone is coming here. Zeus enters Cronus's hall disguised as a simple cupbearer. It is surprisingly easy. Cronus, in his paranoia, has focused all his attention on threats that might come from equals or superiors. He watches the other titans carefully. He monitors the cosmos for signs of rebellion from the imprisoned Cyclopes or hundred-handed ones. But servants are different. Minor beings are ignored. These are beneath his notice. This is the blindness that fear creates. In watching for grand threats, Cronus has made himself vulnerable to subtle ones. Zeus moves through the hall with practiced ease, the potion carefully concealed in a vessel of wine. He approaches his father, sees him for the first time with his own eyes, and feels a strange lurch in his chest. This is the being who gave him life. This is his father. Under different circumstances, they might have had a relationship. Cronus might have been proud of him, might have taught him, might have loved him. But instead, Cronus tried to swallow him, tried to erase his existence out of fear. The complexity of the moment threatens to overwhelm Zeus, but he steadies himself, remembering his siblings trapped inside this tyrant. Remembering his mother's grief, remembering the purpose that has shaped his entire life. "Wine, my lord," Zeus offers, his voice carefully neutral. Cronus barely glances at him. "Yes, yes," he says dismissively, reaching for the cup. And just like that, the trap is set, the potion is delivered, the moment of liberation begins. Cronus drinks, and almost immediately he knows something is wrong. His divine body, which has held 5 gods in suspended imprisonment for so long, begins to rebel. The potion works quickly, powerfully. Cronus feels violently, terribly ill. And then, inevitably, catastrophically for him, he begins to vomit. First comes the stone, the wrapped stone that Rhea gave him so long ago, that he swallowed believing it was Zeus. It emerges and clatters to the floor, its swaddling clothes falling away to reveal the deception. Cronus stares at it in shock and horror. A stone was inside. He swallowed a stone, which means something. But he has no time to complete the thought, because now his body is expelling the next thing he swallowed, and this is not a stone. Poseidon emerges, gasping, disoriented, but alive, fully grown despite having been swallowed as an infant. The time inside was not normal time. It aged them to their full divine maturity, even as it held them suspended. Then Hades, dignified even in this undignified moment of release, stepping forth from his father's body with an expression of profound relief mixed with grim determination. Then Hera, radiant and furious, her eyes already seeking the one responsible for their imprisonment. Then Demeter, reconnecting immediately with the life and growth that is her essence, feeling the earth beneath her feet for the first time in her conscious memory. And finally Hestia, the first swallowed and the last released, emerging with quiet grace, already beginning to radiate the warm, steady presence that will define her forever. 5 gods freed, 5 siblings emerged, 5 imprisoned children finally miraculously free. They stand there in their father's hall, these newly freed gods, and the moment is charged with electric possibility. Cronus, still recovering from the potion's effects, stares at them in horror. His worst fear has come true. Not only has one child escaped, they all have. The prophecy he tried so hard to prevent is unfolding before his eyes. The five siblings look at each other, seeing each other truly for the first time. They have been aware of each other's presence in the darkness, have sensed each other's thoughts and feelings in that suspended state. But now they stand separate, distinct, free. And they understand immediately what has happened. Someone freed them completely. Someone gave their father a potion. Someone orchestrated this liberation. Zeus steps forward, dropping his disguise, revealing himself in his full divine radiance. "Brothers," he says, his voice warm with emotion. "Sisters, I greet you. I am Zeus, the sixth child, the one our mother saved, and I have come to free you." The moment of recognition is profound. These are his siblings, his family completely, the ones he has spent his entire life preparing to rescue. And they are his. They look at him with understanding, with gratitude, with immediate connection. Hestia, eldest, steps forward first. "Brother," she says simply, and embraces him. There are tears in her eyes, tears of relief, of joy, of the profound release of long-held tension. The others follow quickly. Demeter, grateful and warm, Hera, assessing but approving, Hades, serious but acknowledging, Poseidon, wild and immediately loyal. They are a unit in moments, 5 imprisoned gods and their liberator, 6 siblings united by suffering and salvation. Cronus watches this reunion with growing dread. He sees not just his freed children but his own doom. The prophecy is fulfilled. Here is the child who will overthrow him. Here is Zeus, grown to power, surrounded by siblings who have every reason to hate their father. "You don't understand," Cronus says, his voice desperate now, trying to justify himself. "The prophecy said one of you would overthrow me. I had to protect myself. I had to do this." "You had to imprison innocent children," Hera interrupts, her voice sharp as a blade. "You had to swallow us, keep us in darkness, deny us existence. That is what you had to do." Cronus has no good answer. He tries to speak of necessity, of duty, of maintaining order, but the words ring hollow even to his own ears. He sounds like Uranus trying to justify imprisoning the Cyclopes. He sounds exactly like the thing he once fought against. Zeus watches his father scramble for justification and feels that complex mixture of emotions again. Pity and anger together, understanding and condemnation. This is his father, but also his oppressor. This is a Titan who once did a brave thing, but then became the very tyranny he overthrew. "Father," Zeus says, and the word feels strange in his mouth. "Your fear has ruled you long enough, and in your fear you have ruled unjustly. That ends now." The confrontation is not immediate violence, though violence will come. First, there is a moment of choice. Zeus offers it because he has been raised to believe in justice over mere vengeance. "You can yield," Zeus says. "You can acknowledge what you've done and step aside peacefully. We don't have to repeat the cycle of family violence. We can be different." For a moment, just a moment, something flickers in Cronus's eyes. Recognition, perhaps something, perhaps regret showing. The ghost of the Titan he might have been if fear hadn't consumed him. But the moment passes. Pride, paranoia, and the desperate clinging to power win out. "You are children," Cronus spits, his voice hardening. "You think you can overthrow me. I am the king of Titans. I rule the cosmos. You are nothing compared to me." "We are 6, Zeus interrupts quietly. "We are united, and we are free. That makes us more powerful than you can imagine." The other Titans are gathering now, drawn by the cosmic disturbance. They see Cronus facing his freed children. They see Zeus, the hidden 6th child, now revealed. They see the moment of choice that will define the next age of the cosmos. And each Titan must decide, do they stand with Cronus or do they stand aside? Do they defend the old order built on fear, or do they allow new order to emerge? Rhea arrives and sees Zeus standing there, her son, her saved child, grown to magnificent power. The relief and pride that flood through her are overwhelming. She moves to stand beside him immediately, choosing her children over her husband without hesitation. Others make different choices, but that is a story for the next chapter. For now, in this moment, there is simply the reunited family, 6 siblings standing together. Zeus at the center but not above. He is their liberator, yes, but also their equal, their brother always, their companion in the struggle to come. They are not just a family, they are a unity. They have been forged in suffering and joined in purpose. They will face whatever comes next together. And they are hopeful, despite everything they have endured, despite the darkness of their imprisonment, despite knowing that conflict lies ahead, they are hopeful. Because they are free, because they are together. Because the prophecy that Cronus feared is not about destruction, but about transformation, about breaking cycles rather than perpetuating them, about creating something new and better from the ashes of the old. Chapter 11, the Titanomachy, a cosmic shift. There are some changes that happen quietly, gently, like seasons turning, and there are other changes that shake the very foundations of existence. That require struggle and transformation, that demand every being choose which side of history they will stand on. The Titanomachy, the war between the old gods and the new, is both these things at once. It is a cosmic shift told symbolically, not as literal violence, but as the profound transformation that happens when old orders give way to new. When fear-based power confronts love-based unity, when the cycle of family trauma either breaks or perpetuates itself. This is not a story of armies and weapons, though the poets sometimes tell it that way. This is a story of evolution, of consciousness shifting completely, of the universe deciding what it wants to become. The Titans gather and each must choose. On one side stands Cronus, still clinging to power, still insisting that his rule was just and necessary. Around him, some Titans align themselves out of loyalty, out of habit, out of their own fears of change. Oceanus stays neutral, as is his nature. He continues to flow around the world, neither fighting nor flying, simply being what he has always been. His neutrality is not cowardice, but recognition that some forces must simply continue regardless of who rules. Themis, goddess of divine law and justice, makes her choice immediately. She stands with Zeus and his siblings. She knows injustice when she sees it. She has watched Cronus become what he fought against, has seen how fear corrupted wisdom. Justice demands she support the new order. Rhea, of course, is already with her children. She has been fighting this battle longer than anyone, in her own way. Every visit to Zeus was an act of rebellion. Every moment she endured Cronus's tyranny was preparation for this. Now she stands openly with those she saved and those she could not save, united in purpose. Mnemosyne, keeper of memory, joins the Olympians as well. She remembers everything, the early love between Gaia and Uranus, the Golden Age's true beauty and its corruption. She remembers what was and knows what must be. Her presence with Zeus is her testimony. The past supports this change. Others make different choices. Some Titans cannot let go of the old ways. Some fear what Zeus's victory might mean. Some simply fight because fighting is what they know. But the point is this, each being must choose, and in that choosing they reveal who they truly are. Zeus does not fight alone, and this is crucial to understanding what makes him different. Where Uranus ruled from distant superiority, and Cronus ruled through fearful control, Zeus leads through unity. He is the first among equals, not the tyrant above all. His siblings are not his subjects, but his partners. Hestia brings her gift of centering, of hearth and home. Even in the midst of cosmic transformation, she maintains the still point around which everything can turn. Her presence reminds everyone what they're fighting for, not power for its own sake, but the possibility of true home, true safety, true warmth. Demeter connects them to growth, to life, to the principle that things must change and evolve. She is transformation itself, the cycle of seed to plant to harvest. She understands that old things must fall away for new things to flourish. Hera brings queenly authority and the fierce protection of family bonds. She who was swallowed first, who suffered longest in imprisonment, now stands as a force of righteous anger. But her anger is not chaotic, it is directed, purposeful, serving justice. Hades offers his gift of depth, of understanding what lies beneath surfaces. He who is comfortable in darkness knows that sometimes you must descend before you can rise. His presence grounds the others, reminds them that this struggle has roots going back to the beginning. Poseidon brings the wildness of storms and seas, the raw power of natural forces. He is passionate where Zeus is measured, tempestuous where Zeus is calm. Together they balance each other, the wild and the wise working in concert. 6 siblings, 6 gifts, 6 aspects of divine power working as one. This is Zeus's true strength, not individual might, but collective purpose. Zeus also makes a crucial decision that changes everything. He frees the imprisoned Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones. He goes to Tartarus, that deep abyss where Uranus imprisoned them so long ago, where they have waded through all the ages of cosmic drama. Zeus finds them there, still powerful despite their long captivity, still possessing the gifts that made them threatening to fearful rulers. Brothers, Zeus calls to them, and the word is significant, not servants at all, not tools to use, brothers in truth. Your imprisonment was unjust, he continues. My grandfather feared your power, my father feared all power but his own. But I do not fear you, I ask you to join us, not as subordinates but as allies. Help us transform the cosmos into something better than it has been. The Cyclopes and hundred-handed ones look at this young god who speaks to them with respect, who offers alliance instead of command, who acknowledges the injustice done to them. And they agree. The Cyclopes, brilliant craftsmen that they are, forge gifts for the 3 brothers. For Zeus, they create the thunderbolt, not just a weapon, but a symbol of divine authority and the power to illuminate darkness. For Poseidon, the trident representing mastery over the fluid realms, the ability to shake earth and stir seas. For Hades, the helm of darkness, granting invisibility and representing the mysteries that lie beneath the visible world. The hundred-handed ones bring their immense strength, their loyalty, their gentle fierceness. They who were feared and imprisoned now fight for a new order that welcomes rather than rejects difference. This is revolution, not just replacing one tyrant with another, but fundamentally reimagining how power itself works. The struggle itself is told as a great cosmic drama, but we will understand it symbolically. Think of it not as literal warfare, but as the death struggle of an old paradigm and the birth pangs of a new one. Every age must pass, every order must eventually yield. This is the nature of time, of change, of existence itself. Cronus fights to maintain control, but his position is untenable. He built his rule on fear, and fear is ultimately unsustainable. It requires constant vigilance, constant oppression, constant energy spent keeping threats down rather than lifting everyone up. Fear exhausts itself completely. Zeus and his allies fight for something different, a cosmos where power serves justice rather than fear, where family bonds are honored rather than twisted, where difference is welcomed rather than imprisoned. These are not just ideals, they are forces, principles, powers in their own right. The struggle shakes the cosmos, mountains tremble deeply, seas rage wildly, the earth itself groans under the weight of such fundamental change. This is not because of physical violence, but because reality itself is being restructured. Old rules are dissolving, new patterns are forming. Gaia watches from below, feeling every tremor. She has lived through every age, from chaos's first stirrings to this moment. She understands what is happening. The cosmos is growing up, moving from fear-based hierarchy to something more mature, more balanced, more whole. She feels hope for what will emerge, even as she grieves what must pass away. In the midst of the struggle, something profound happens. Cronus sees himself clearly. Perhaps it is the thunderbolt's illuminating flash. Perhaps it is simply the moment when denial can no longer hold. But Cronus, facing his children united against him, suddenly sees what he has become. He sees himself as his father was, fearful, controlling, willing to harm innocents to maintain position. He sees how the golden age he built was founded on the broken hearts of his children, on Rhea's repeated grief, on the same injustice he once fought against. And in that moment of clarity, something in him breaks, not his power exactly, but his will to continue the fight. His certainty that he is right, his ability to justify what he has done. He remembers who he once was, the Titan who stood up when others would not, who freed his siblings, who created an age of beauty and peace. That Titan is still inside him somewhere, buried under layers of fear and paranoia. Enough, he says, and his voice carries across the cosmic battlefield. The struggle pauses completely. Everyone turns to look at him. I have become what I despised, Cronus continues, and there is something like wonder in his voice, as if he is only now fully understanding this truth. I swallowed my children. I imprisoned them in fear. I became my father. Zeus steps forward, his expression unreadable. This is the moment of choice. Will he show mercy or exact vengeance? Yes, Zeus says simply, you did exactly that. The question is, what happens now? Cronus looks at his son, the one who escaped, who grew strong, who freed his siblings, and sees something he didn't expect. Not hatred, but sadness. Not vengeance, but the desire for something better. The prophecy said I would be overthrown, Cronus says quietly. I spent my entire reign fearing that moment, and now that it's here, I feel only relief. It's true completely. The fear that drove him for so long has exhausted itself. The constant vigilance, the terrible things done in fear's name, the weight of maintaining control through cruelty, all of it has drained him of everything that once made him mighty. We will not imprison you as you imprisoned us, Zeus says, and his siblings nod their agreement. We will not continue the cycle, but neither can you rule. That age is over. Themis steps forward, her voice carrying the weight of eternal law. The Titans will not be destroyed, but the reign of Cronus must end. A new order will emerge, built not on fear, but on balance, on justice itself, on the principle that power serves rather than dominates. And so it is decided, not through total destruction, but through transformation. The old order yields to the new. The Titans who fought against change will find new roles, new purposes. Those who fought for change will help build what comes next. Cronus and those Titans who cannot accept the new order will be sent to Tartarus, not imprisoned in darkness as the Cyclopes were, but given a realm of their own where they can exist without causing further harm. It is a form of retirement, of setting aside, of making room for the new without destroying the old. It is mercy shaped by justice. It is the breaking of the cycle. As the cosmic shift settles, as the struggle transforms into resolution, something remarkable happens. The universe breathes out, a long-held tension releases. The fear that has shaped cosmic politics for 2 generations finally, fully dissolves. Zeus and his siblings stand at the threshold of a new age. They have won not through superior force alone, but through unity, through welcoming the previously rejected, through offering a vision of something better. Gaia feels it through every particle of her being. Hope, real hope emerges. The kind that comes not from naive optimism, but from actual transformation. Her grandchildren have broken the pattern. They have not simply repeated the cycle of overthrow and oppression. They have created something new. The golden age of Cronus is over, but what comes next will be different. Not perfect, perfection is perhaps impossible. But more just, more balanced entirely, more whole completely. The Olympian age is beginning. In the aftermath there is both grief and celebration. Grief for what had to end, for the beauty that existed in the golden age before fear corrupted it. For the family bonds that were strained and broken. For Cronus himself, who could have been so much more than he became. But also celebration rises. The imprisoned are free. The fearful have yielded. A new generation stands ready to shape the cosmos according to better principles. The cycle is broken, or at least bent toward a new trajectory. Zeus does not claim sole rulership. Instead, he and his siblings divide the cosmos among them, each taking responsibility for different realms. Zeus becomes king of the sky and ruler of gods, but he rules with his siblings as partners, not subjects. Poseidon takes the seas. Hades accepts the underworld, the realm of what lies beneath and beyond. Hera becomes queen, standing beside Zeus in shared sovereignty. Demeter nurtures the earth's fertility. Hestia tends the eternal hearth. It is governance through collaboration, power through partnership united, a structure built on respect rather than fear. This is what makes the Olympian age different, not perfect but different, better than before. Chapter 12: The New Order of the Gods. After every great transformation comes the quiet work of building something new. The storm has passed, the cosmic struggle has resolved, the old order has yielded to the new. And now, in the gentle aftermath, the Olympians must discover what it means to actually govern, to create, to shape a cosmos based on principles different from those that came before. This is the hardest work in many ways. Fighting for change is dramatic, clear, urgent. But building something that lasts, that requires patience, wisdom, and the willingness to make difficult choices every day, not just in moments of crisis. The new age is beginning, and with it comes a deep, settling peace. Zeus stands on Mount Olympus, looking out over all of creation. The mountain has become the new seat of divine power, replacing Mount Othrys where Cronus ruled. It is taller, reaching into the bright sky, open to the light rather than shrouded in the twilight of fear. From here, Zeus can see everything: the earth below, the seas surrounding, the sky stretching infinite above. But he does not stand here in isolation. His siblings are with him, each taking their place, each contributing their gifts to this new order they are creating together. This is leadership reimagined, not one tyrant imposing will from above, but a council of equals, each sovereign in their own realm, each respected for their unique nature. It is messy sometimes, this shared governance. There are disagreements, competing visions, the need for constant dialogue. But it is also stronger, more balanced than before, more whole in nature. Zeus understands something his father and grandfather never grasped. True power comes not from controlling everything, but from trusting others to do what they do best. The realms are divided, and each Olympian claims their domain. Zeus himself becomes king of the sky, ruler of the gods, master of weather and storms. The thunderbolt the Cyclops forged for him becomes his symbol, not just of power, but of illumination. He who was hidden in darkness now brings light. He who was saved in secret now rules openly. There is justice in this, a kind of cosmic poetry. But Zeus wears his authority differently than Cronus did. He carries it with humility, with the memory of what he almost was, another swallowed child, another victim of fear. This memory keeps him grounded. It reminds him why he fought, what he fought for, who he cannot allow himself to become. He embraces leadership with compassion. Not perfect compassion. Zeus will have his flaws, his mistakes, his moments of poor judgment. But compassion nonetheless, the kind that comes from understanding suffering, from having been vulnerable, from knowing what it means to need rescue. Poseidon takes the seas, and they welcome him like a homecoming. He dives into the depths and finds them vast, wild, full of untamed beauty. This suits him perfectly. Where Zeus must be measured and diplomatic, Poseidon can be as tempestuous as he wishes. The seas reflect his moods, calm when he is calm, stormy when he is stirred. He makes his palace in the deep places, adorned with coral and pearl, filled with the strange and beautiful creatures of the ocean. He is sovereign here, answerable to no one but himself in his own realm, and yet he is also part of the council, part of the new order, connected to his siblings even in his independence. Poseidon's wildness is not chaos. It is the natural, necessary counterbalance to Zeus's order. It reminds everyone that not everything can or should be tamed, that some forces must remain free, fluid, unpredictable, that the cosmos needs both structure and flow. Hades accepts the underworld and in doing so takes on a burden no one else wanted, the realm of the dead. The place where mortal souls will eventually go, the depths beneath all depths, the final mystery, the domain of endings. It is not a punishment for Hades to rule here, it is a calling. He understands this realm in ways his siblings cannot. Hades, who spent his infancy swallowed, who knows what it means to exist in suspended darkness, who has always been comfortable with what lies beneath surfaces, he is perfect for this role. And he accepts it with quiet dignity. He will be misunderstood because of this choice. Later generations will fear him, will see him as dark and threatening. But Hades knows his purpose. Someone must shepherd souls. Someone must maintain the boundary between life and death. Someone must hold the mysteries that cannot be spoken. He takes this responsibility seriously, solemnly. He builds his realm carefully, justly. He will be fair in ways Cronus never was. Firm but not cruel, present but not oppressive. And in his depths, in his chosen darkness, Hades finds a kind of peace that his brighter siblings may never fully understand. Hera becomes queen beside Zeus, and their partnership defines much of what the Olympian age will be. She is not subordinate to Zeus, but complementary. Where he is expansive, she is focused. Where he sees broad principles, she sees intricate details. She is fierce in protecting what matters, family, bonds, sacred commitments. She is queenly in the truest sense, sovereign, powerful, commanding respect. Hera, who suffered longest in imprisonment, who endured the darkness before any of her other siblings, emerges with a strength that cannot be shaken. She knows what she survived, she knows her own power, and she will not diminish herself for anyone. Her relationship with Zeus is complex, as all great partnerships are. There will be challenges between them, disagreements, moments of strain. But there is also deep recognition. They understand each other in ways others cannot. They are both leaders, both powerful, both committed to creating something better than what came before. Together they model a new kind of divine relationship, not the doomed intimacy of Gaia and Uranus, not the corrupted partnership of Cronus and Rhea, but something more balanced. Something more equal, more honest about power and its complexities. Demeter turns her attention to the earth itself, to the cycles of growth and harvest. She who is named for Mother Earth, or Grain Mother, finds her purpose in nurturing life. After the cosmic upheavals, after the wars and transformations, Demeter brings the focus back to what matters: growth, nourishment for all. The simple miracle of seed becoming plant, becoming food. She works closely with Gaia, her grandmother, learning the deep mysteries of Earth. But where Gaia is the primal foundation, Demeter is cultivation. She is the human partnership with Earth, the way consciousness works with nature to create abundance. Under her care, the Earth flourishes in new ways. The cycles she establishes will continue forever, planting and harvesting, winter and spring, death and rebirth. She understands what Cronus forgot. That time is not something to fear or try to control. Time is the medium through which growth happens. Time is gift, not theft. Demeter's presence brings a kind of grounded joy to Olympus. She reminds everyone that for all the cosmic drama, life continues. Seeds still grow, harvests still come. The simple, beautiful cycles that sustain existence still turn. And Hestia, firstborn and most gentle, tends the hearth. She does not claim vast realms like her brothers. She does not seek dramatic authority like her sister Hera. Instead, Hestia maintains the center. The still point remains, the sacred fire that never goes out. She is the hearth of Olympus, but also the hearth of every home that will ever exist. She is the principle that says, wherever there is warmth, safety, welcome, belonging, there I am. She is the goddess of the threshold, the center, the place where people gather. Hestia's gift is often overlooked because it is so constant, so steady, but Zeus understands its importance. In a cosmos that has been shaken by fear and violence, that has endured transformation and upheaval, Hestia's eternal flame is the promise that some things remain constant. That home exists, that peace is possible. She who was swallowed first, who endured longest, who emerged last, she becomes the eternal center around which everything else revolves. There is poetry in this, justice lives here, a rightness that speaks to the deepest patterns of existence. Gaia, ancient Gaia, finally rests. She has lived through every age. She has suffered through Uranus's fear and Cronus's paranoia. She has plotted revolution twice, first against Uranus, then to save Zeus. She has endured having her children imprisoned, has felt their pain as her own. But now, finally, she can rest. Her grandchildren rule with wisdom, or at least with the sincere attempt at wisdom. They have broken the cycle of fear-based tyranny. They welcome those who are different rather than imprisoning them. They govern through counsel rather than dictate. They are not perfect, but they are better, and that is enough. That is perhaps all any generation can hope for, to be a little better than the one before, to heal some wounds even if not all, to move the arc of existence slightly more toward justice. Gaia settles into her being, feeling the weight of ages but also the lightness of relief. Her heart, which has carried so much grief, can finally be calm. Not empty of feeling, she is Earth, the Great Mother. She will always feel everything deeply. But calm in the sense of no longer being in crisis, no longer fighting for her children's freedom, no longer carrying the burden of revolution. The world is in good hands now, she can rest peacefully. Rhea, too, finds peace at last. She has endured what no mother should endure, watching 5 children be swallowed, fighting to save the 6th, living with Cronus even as he became monstrous. The grief she carried could have broken a lesser being, but Rhea's gentle strength sustained her. And now in the aftermath she reaps the reward of her courage. Her children are free, all of them together. They stand in the light, powerful and sovereign, creating a new age. And they remember what she did for them. Zeus especially honors his mother. He knows he exists only because of her bravery, her cleverness, her willingness to deceive and sacrifice and endure. He makes sure everyone understands Rhea is the reason the new order exists. Without her, there would be no liberation, no transformation, no hope. Rhea does not seek glory or authority. She is content to simply be among her children, to see them thriving, to watch them govern with wisdom. This is her reward, presence without pain, family without fear, the simple joy of seeing her children be who they were meant to be. Sometimes she thinks of Cronus, set aside in Tartarus, and she feels complex emotions, grief for what he became, relief that his reign is over, a strange kind of forgiveness for the being he was before fear consumed him. She does not excuse what he did, but she can release him from her heart, can stop carrying the weight of his choices. This, too, is peace, the ability to set down what is not yours to carry. The Titans who supported the Olympians find new roles in the new order. Themis becomes Zeus's counselor in matters of justice and law. Her wisdom shapes the principles by which gods and mortals will be judged. She ensures that the new order is not just powerful, but also fair. Mnemosyne, keeper of memory, works to ensure that what has been learned is not forgotten. She preserves the stories, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones, because memory is how we avoid repeating the worst of the past. Oceanus continues to flow around the world, neutral and eternal, providing the boundary between the known and the unknown. His children, the river gods and Oceanids, spread throughout the earth, bringing water's gifts to every land. Even those Titans who fought against change are not destroyed. They exist in Tartarus, yes, but they exist. They are not tortured or tormented. They are simply set aside, given space to be what they are without causing further harm. This is mercy shaped by wisdom. This is the breaking of cycles that turn violence into more violence. The Olympians could have destroyed their enemies, but chose transformation instead. This choice defines them, sets the tone for their age. And so the cosmos settles into a new rhythm, not the timeless ease of the first golden age. That innocence is gone, can never be reclaimed. But something deeper emerges, something richer appears. a peace that has been earned through struggle, a harmony that acknowledges discord but chooses unity anyway. The sun rises and sets in its eternal pattern. Helios drives his chariot across the sky. Selene guides the moon through its phases. Eos brings her rosy-fingered dawn. The cycles established by the Titans continue, honored and maintained. On Earth, life flourishes under Demeter's care. In the seas, Poseidon's creatures multiply and thrive. In the underworld, Hades maintains his careful stewardship. And on Olympus, Zeus and his siblings govern together, learning what it means to wield power with wisdom. They are not perfect, they will make mistakes. There will be more stories, more struggles, more moments when they must choose between easy and right. But the foundation they have laid is sound. The cycle is broken, the pattern is changed. This is as close to a happy ending as gods ever get, not perfection but progress, not paradise but possibility. Not the end of all struggle, but the beginning of something better. And so the story comes to its ending. A story that began in chaos and loneliness, that moved through love and fear, that witnessed imprisonment and liberation, that saw violence transformed into wisdom. The journey through the cycles of existence, the old orders that had to fall, the struggles that shaped everything. The moments when patterns broke rather than perpetuated, the times when mercy replaced vengeance, unity replaced isolation, hope replaced fear. The Greek creation myth teaches us that the universe itself is learning, growing, evolving, that even gods must struggle with fear and power and the terrible weight of choice. That families carry wounds across generations but can also carry healing, that nothing is inevitable except change itself. And it teaches us this, that what begins in chaos can find order, that what suffers imprisonment can achieve liberation, that what is broken by fear can be mended by love. The ancient story continues, the universe knowing itself just as the first gods were, containing within the same forces that shaped creation, the need for connection, the struggle with fear, the capacity for transformation, the possibility of wisdom born from suffering. The cosmos has been evolving toward balance since the first moment of existence, and every choice toward compassion over cruelty, unity over division, hope over despair, continues the work the Olympians began. The next chapter of this endless story unfolds, held by the earth that is Gaia's body, covered by the sky that Zeus governs with wisdom learned from suffering, rocked by the seas that flow with Poseidon's wild grace, protected by Hestia's eternal flame that never goes out, nourished by Demeter's eternal cycles of growth and rest, guided by Hera's fierce commitment to what matters, and accompanied always by Hades's reminder that even endings are part of the sacred pattern. Safe in this ancient cosmos, held by forces older than memory and wiser than fear. Part of a story that began before time and continues beyond imagining. The world shaped by all these ancient struggles and triumphs, still evolving, still becoming, still moving slowly but steadily toward greater wisdom, greater justice, greater love. The gods watch over the world they created, and the world dreams on. And this is where the story ends for now. Thank you for watching or listening. We hope you enjoyed this video about the Greek creation myth. Subscribe and leave us a comment if you want, and see you in the next video.